My oaths betray each other till there's nothing left to keep.
Only Us by Miracle of Sound. Alright, and welcome back to the the Shardbreaker podcast. This week we did Interlude 4 all the way through chapter... Oh fuck, what was the chapter?
30,
Chapter
right? Chapter
17!
Chapter 30, got it.
Nope, chapter 17. So we did 6 chapters this week. This is
36, got it.
No, this is our 4th episode of Words of Radiance. And yeah, we're gonna go... Oh, I'm Midnight, your host. I'm a little scatterbrained because a lot has been happening lately.
I love that
And this is Mythic.
Hello.
And Darkness.
Hello.
Why'd you snub Darkness there?
What do you mean?
Why me first this time?
I rotate between you guys because you've complained about it in the past.
Last time it was Mythic first too.
Yeah, it was me
So,
first last time too. I know.
Oh
God
my
damn.
gosh. Anyways,
Snub and Darkness. Though.
we're starting off with Interlude 4, which is called Last Legion, which is another Eshonai POV. We got 2 Eshonai chapters in these interludes. One last time, one this time. So we start with Eshonai's point of view as she's showing off a Stormspren stuck in a gemstone to war pair Thud and Billa. Billa only seems to care about whether the form will help her kill humans, although Eshonai worries about the fact that it's a form of power from their gods. Thud then suggests getting food, and he and Billa wander off because Billa is getting a little much. So what do you think about Billa not being concerned about using the forms of power from their gods?
I mean, you could say it feels more like, if you ever see like those shows or movies where they go through this big like thing and then the generations pass and they're getting like complacent and stuff. And the like risk of it happening again is still there. Like that's what like the whole thing is.
Yeah, they've been so far gone because, as we know, it's been 4,500 years, I believe, since the last desolation, or so. So they've been pretty, it's been a long time, and they just have all these old songs, and they're kind of like, we're just getting fucking decimated by the humans. I just want to kill them.
Let's just go murder a bunch of people.
Well, I mean, it's either, for them at least at this point, it's either murder or be murdered. They're like, we thought.
Choose to be murdered.
And
then experimented on, obviously.
Oh my gosh.
Your armor stolen.
Yep. I'm sure that didn't make them any less willing to kill the humans. I mean, Kaladin wearing the armor.
Why would they want to kill the humans just because Kaladin's wearing their fucking skin?
So Eshonai stares into the gemstone that is holding a Stormspren captive, thinking that they had learned about capturing Spren from the humans. However, the proper way to take a new form was to go into the storm and sing the correct song to attract the right Spren, although there was always a chance you took the wrong form. And this way with the gemstone was much more precise. So what do you think humans use captured Spren for? Because we have not seen any captured Spren so far.
There's plenty of captured Spren. What are you talking about?
Like what?
We got fucking Pattern, we got Syl.
They're not captured.
Whatever the ink guy is. Yes, they are. They're totally captured. Even Pattern knows it. Even Pattern knows it. He's like, you're gonna kill me.
I'm gonna. Okay. As much as this is a joke, or like, it might be true or it might not be, the fact that they chose to go there might not be because they want to do it, and more because they have to because of something that's happening in the background.
It's true.
They're captured.
It's very true.
Yeah, they're slaves to these people.
Clearly.
That's why Pattern is so afraid of Shlong.
Yeah, Pattern. Yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, Pattern's like, "You're gonna kill me." And Shalon's like, "Excuse me, what?"
I agree, though. Shlong is gonna get him killed, 100%.
That's what they meant.
Yeah. So do you think they're talking about then the bonded Spren, or do you think there's like a different way that because people weren't bonding Spren when they first met the humans. So if they've learned about capturing Spren from the humans, then what do you think they've learned it from?
I mean, they learned it from the humans. They just learned it from the humans, and before they lost that knowledge.
You think it's just something they've had for a long time, but humans were the first to do it?
I feel like, I don't know, maybe. I mean, the guy who showed up to Hoyd, right? Wasn't he human?
Tom? Yeah.
The guy who showed up and then died, and the sword fell on the ground. That guy.
Yeah.
His name is Tom.
His name is Tom?
That's what I said.
Brandon, like, come on. Can't you come up with a better
He's
name?
Talenalat Elin.
What?
That's his full name.
That's his whole fucking name.
That's his whole name, Talenalat Elin.
Oh, okay. You said
Talenalat
Tom.
Elin.
So.
Yeah, Tom
You
is
said
short.
Tom, so.
Tom is the shortened form of Talenalat Elin.
You see? I had a whole breakdown with that explanation.
How many more times can you say that? Like, can you say
Talenalat Elin.
Say it 3 times fast.
Talenalat Elin. Talenalat Elin. Talenalat Elin.
I'm
I'm saying it properly. Just
sounds like she's choking on it.
It doesn't. So Eshonai then checks the time by attuning to the rhythm of peace, but notes that she has half of movement before she needs to meet with the 5, so she decides to go visit her mother. As she walks through Narak, she thinks that there used to be hundreds of thousands of listeners before the war. Even though there used to be wars between their people, they had been united against their gods. Now there were people like Billa who no longer cared about their origins. Eshonai then notices a few listeners in doll form, and she goes over to ask if they are new spies or if they accidentally bonded the wrong spren. However, the doll form listeners tell her that they chose doll form on purpose because the humans won't kill them when they come here. Eshonai feels the rhythm of anxiety strongly, and even sees Fear Spren moving towards her. Eshonai quickly hurries away. So first of all, what do you think about the fact that they use the rhythms to tell time?
What the hell are the rhythms again?
So the rhythms are like what they speak to. So instead of like showing like fears of like they speak to the rhythm of anxiety or to the rhythm of peace or to the rhythm of resolve.
Speak to them? Wow.
Yeah, so like they speak almost like in like poetic like.
Can I speak to the rhythm of depression, please?
The rhythm of these nuts.
I believe they do say at one point some of the listeners speak to the rhythm of despair.
Oh God.
I want depression, not despair. They're different.
Well, they don't have. We don't know if they have a rhythm of depression, just a
the
rhythm
of anxiety.
Yeah, they have rhythm of anxiety. Why can't they have rhythm of depression?
No, they have despair instead.
Nah, despair's different.
But yeah, so apparently these rhythms aren't something that they just start speaking to. Like it's something they can hear in the background that is like constantly there, and they're like, okay, we're at this part of the rhythm of peace, so I need to be there at like this other part of the rhythm of peace.
That's so weird. It's like music's always playing around them, and they're just like, I'm just waiting for the specific part in the song.
Mm-hmm. Also, what do you think about the listeners choosing doll form so that they hopefully won't be killed?
I agree. It's a good idea. I mean, you should definitely just go into slave form, but yeah, no.
Well, I don't think they can choose to go into slave form.
They can totally do so.
I don't believe slave form is a choice they can make. I think doll form's the closest they can get to slave form.
Nah, that's just because they lost the ability to go into slave form since it's the best one.
You have any thoughts, Darkness, about them going into doll form?
It's where she freaks out, right?
Yeah, she's kind of freaked out because she's like, what do you mean you chose doll form?
Yeah.
Because the humans are coming and nobody wants to die, so we choose the, option.
They're like, we'd rather be slaves to the humans than
also,
die.
the fact that they get to choose what form they want to be in is
Shonai's like, well, I can't tell them to do anything else. Like, this is like their choice.
Yep. I like the person later that's in the mating form that doesn't mate.
The mate form, the person who's like, she's like, they wish they could be in a different form, but they've accepted that they'll be in this form.
Yep. I'm a mate form, but I'm still not going to mate with people. I'm not going to be this horny as.
They're the representative of the mate form mindset.
Yeah, which is weird, but yeah, because I feel like the best way for that to be would have been like the people who are hitting on everybody. If you were
no, because they say you need to be able to still make decisions. Like if you're too distracted in mate form,
spend your time fucking instead of like.
Yeah, that's why this person specifically was in mate form, because they're like you can actually like control yourself better than others can. So like you can actually still get shit done as like a government leader.
Wild, because they're mate form.
But also, what did you? I don't know if you fully caught this, but Eshonai can see Spren like so like you know how humans when like they're like, oh, Fear Spren are here and they're like bubbling at their feet, she can see them coming from a distance towards her. So like the listeners can see Spren like more than humans can.
What they're called the singers.
Well, listeners.
No. The stupid name. It should be the singers. I mean, I guess actually no, never mind. I guess technically I can understand it now from this perspective because they're listening to music all the time.
Yeah, because like these rhythms aren't like something they create. It's something like external in like nature that they can hear and that they're attuning to. So they're listening to the rhythms and then repeating them.
Yeah, I like singers better though.
But yeah, so what do you think about the fact that Eshonai can like see these Spren like coming towards her instead of just only seeing them when they're like right at her feet?
She sees into the ethereal plane.
mean the cognitive realm?
Or yeah, that's it. Yeah.
No, bro, it's the astral plane.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There you go. Yeah. Astral plane.
No, that's actually accurate. That's pretty much how I depict the Shadesmar.
That's
How
the
does it
astral
say that?
plane.
Yeah, if you know what that is, yeah.
The
I'm
astral
assuming from
plane's
like
like
Baldur's Gate.
space though.
I was thinking like Marvel, but okay.
I don't know what the astral plane looks like in
Oh,
Marvel.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
what
Well,
does the astral plane look like in Marvel? I gotta look that up.
well, the astral plane is it's like it's essentially where all like the like psychic X-Men and all the like telepathic people can go into.
That
If
would
you're
make
trying
sense
to.
then for like the cognitive realm.
Yeah, and essentially it's built of like like shadows and like purple hues and like it's essentially like constructs built with minds.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, Shadesmar is very much like a. I think it's more instead of purple hues, it's more of like a black and white because it has like obsidian ground, and then it has like
Yeah,
a
like
white.
that, like
yeah,
that.
and it has like a white sun that's like it's a really small white sun that's like really
Let me
far
see if I can
away.
find a picture actually.
That's what I'm looking for right now. A picture of Marvel's astral plane. All I see is the actual astral plane. Okay, you can keep going then, I guess.
In other words, here's a representation of what Shadesmar is supposed to look like. We're talking about it.
Shadsmar. Where's Shadsmar? Yeah.
There's like the sea of
Okay.
bees and then the fire of like people.
Oh, is that what those
Those
little yellow
souls.
things are?
Yeah, the little yellow thing that's I think are supposed to be like the candle flames of people's souls.
Yes, because souls are represented by candles.
They are in.
I mean,
Shadesmar,
they are
though.
in a lot of mythology. So
Yeah. So
that's why a lot of like people light candles for loved ones and shit that are dead.
mm,
So
I did
that
not
makes
know that.
sense. I understand.
But yeah, so Eshonai eventually gets to her mother's house, which is on the edge of the city, and sees her mother in work form, which has always been her preference, even after nimble form had been discovered. She was working on a shalebark garden as Eshonai approached her. Her mother switches between thinking Eshonai is herself and her sister Venli, as she speaks as if it's years ago, when Eshonai was about to have her first transformation. Eshonai tries.
I said, "Yep, she's senile. Got it."
Yep. Eshonai tries to speak to her mother about their current problems, but her mother seems lost in the past. So what do you think about the fact that Eshonai and Venli's mother has some sort of like dementia or Alzheimer's or something?
Love the depiction of Alzheimer's and these crab people.
I was sad. I was like, ah, shit. Here we go.
Yep. She still remembers the songs though, the ancient songs.
Because she hears them daily.
Well, no, I wasn't talking about the rhythms. I was talking about like they have like
Oh.
their like oral tradition, and she's like, I think
Wait,
it's kind of
they
implied
have
that
to
like she
do
knows
oral
all of
as a
them.
tradition?
That's crazy.
Damn, I really want to be a part of this group now.
Oh my gosh. So Eshonai then asks her mother why they left the dark home, and her mother begins to recite a story to the rhythm of remembrance. She talks about how the gods have gave them forms of power, but also of obedience. So during a storm, the last legion took on doll form to escape their gods, as they didn't know how to take any other forms themselves. They then settled in the ruins of an abandoned kingdom. As Eshonai stands, her mother mentions finding some things while cleaning, and Eshonai sees that they are her old maps. So what do you think about the history of the listeners and how they basically like became doll form to betray their gods, but in turn like lost like all of their other forms? Like they had to relearn how to basically be themselves.
Wouldn't it just like if they learn more forms, wouldn't it just undo what the whole purpose of it was for?
Yes, basically. But think about it though, Darkness. If you reset your computer, right? Like let's say you hard reset your computer, everything goes away. You start putting things back in, right? So eventually it gets back to when you hard reset it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
It just repeats over and over and over and
And
over.
also,
and
it's kind
over
of
and over.
implied, like through like these, like they say that they're giving them forms of obedience. That I think, like it sounds like the gods like kept knowledge of forms away from them. So like, here you have this form now, instead of like letting them like actually know how to make the forms themselves. So I think even before they became a doll form, they had like didn't know fully how to make forms themselves. All they could figure out is doll form, because doll form is really easy to turn into, because it basically just means you take any fucking
Way
spread.
everything. Oh, I thought it was just take all, like you had no spren. I guess
No,
that's
slave form
spren.
is no spren. Doll form, you have a spren. She explains that
Wait,
like,
how would they not know how to go into slave form?
because they don't know how to not have a spren, I think. Like basically if they get rid of their old
Remove
spren, they
the
always
spren.
get a new one. And what happens is like
Always?
that's what it seems like, because they said like they don't like understand slave form. That's what I understand of it.
I thought they just chose not to go into slave form, but
No,
they
slave
always
form
want a
was, I believe, something I think I get explained later in this book, but it was like something new. But yeah, so Delform, like Ash and I explained something. This chapter and the previous chapter is like if you go into a storm trying to say like become nimble form, but you fuck it up somehow and get the wrong spren, you become Delform. Like Delform is basically like the default if you like don't get any other form. They're like, oh, you fucked it up, Delform for you.
That's crazy, but you can undo it, right?
If next high storm, you can become a new form. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to wait till the next high storm.
So,
That's unfortunate.
I mean, wouldn't that be the best way to find new forms, though? Just testing out?
Well, I think that's basically what they're doing, yeah. I think that's basically what Venli's been trying to do, is, like, they're, like, trying to draw new, like, they're trying to, like, bring Spren to them. They're like, okay, we need, like, this sort of Spren to become...
Turn into storm form.
Into storm form, or, like, as they were talking about previously, like, art form or something. They're like, we need, like, a type of a Spren to do this. And so, in order to do this, we're then going to, like... Yeah, they're like, we need to capture a Spren. But like until they can get that Spren, they're like, oh, I'm not going to be able to get a new form. Because they're only able to attract certain Spren.
I just learned so much about the astral plane in Marvel. I should not have looked at that.
Oh my gosh.
Definitely not have done that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, okay, this is a little bit unrelated, but you know.
Okay.
I just found out that it's connected to multiple like afterlife and like other projections type of places.
Yes,
so
multiverse.
Yeah, well, in this, it's considered all tied together. You know, where in Black Panther he goes and like talks to his like ancestors or whatever. That's one part of the astral plane. The other one is where Doctor Strange talks to the Ancient One or whatever.
Mm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's another part of the astral plane, and so the X-Men has their own like part of it, and it's all tied together, and it's like reversed and like inverted and like.
Oh my gosh!
Insane. And if it's kind of like that in this universe, I would get so fucking lost.
I think it's a little less complicated. Basically, the cognitive realm of Shadesmar is basically mirrors everywhere in the physical realm. Like there's not like all these weird different parts. It's just like if you're in Roshar, there's the Rosharan cognitive realm, which looks like.
But that's what I was gonna say. Like if that's how it is, and if you can travel through like the freaking.
Yeah. So you can
parallelograms or whatever.
The perpendicularities.
There you go.
Parallelograms sounds way better. I like that better. We'll just go with that one, Darkness.
Oh my gosh.
If you can travel through that and go into other like versions of the thing, I would. It's over for me.
Yeah. So basically, you can So you know how in Mistborn Secret History, Kelsier gets to basically the ocean, past Scadrial, where he finds the Eyrie. The Elantrians and stuff. So if he kept walking, which he couldn't because he was attached to preservation. So he was stuck on Scadrial, so he couldn't go much farther. But if he had been able to go farther, he would eventually ended up in a Shadesmar in a different world, on a different planet, if he walked far enough.
Yeah, interesting how it works, you know.
Yeah,
and basically world hoppers work.
Yeah, and basically it's also really fast, but kind of, because if there's the cognitive realm is made up of people's cognition, so if there's planets and space where no people live, there's no cognitive realm there. So the edge of the cognitive realm, say in Scadrial, is connected to the nearest planet that also has sentient people.
Yeah,
okay. Who can create a cognitive realm. So you can basically just skip all the space in between planets.
Damn, that's so
whoever, if anyone ever dares to try and map this place, it's over.
Yeah.
I feel
wait, unless the people in that freaking university or
I think it's probably already mapped. People probably already know, if you go south from Scadrial's Shadesmar, you end up in Elantris Shadesmar.
So if
I'm just making up directions, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, but if let's say a whole what happens to a cognitive realm for a specific planet if everyone in that planet is wiped out?
I think it would probably stay for a little bit and then eventually fade.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure. I don't 100% know because in any of the books that have been out so far, we have not seen the complete extinction of humankind during a book.
So.
I mean, we almost did Mistborn, so.
So you just technically spoiled the ending for all of us?
No, because Stormlight's not over. Stormlight is continuing. A new book comes out in December. So who knows? Maybe we'll see the complete destruction of Roshar. I don't know.
But also, if let's say they all get wiped out, right? They're
Yeah.
all moving to fucking Shadesmar as soon as they die, right?
Only if they're invested and only briefly.
Okay, so if they're not in like with investiture or whatever,
They basically blink into, I think, Shadesmar for like a second, because like preservation had enough time to say bye to everyone. So they'll be there for, I think you get like 5 seconds or something if you have no investiture, and then you go to the Beyond. Whereas if you have investiture, you can stay for longer.
now we just need to figure out where the fuck the Beyond is and why everyone goes there.
Well, the Beyond's like the afterlife.
Well, yes, but the thing is, like,
there, though, you know,
That's where all we know is that's where souls go. Brandon has specifically said that
where I want to go.
he doesn't want to talk about what is in the Beyond as like a
Because
religious person himself.
He doesn't want to trump over religion. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, because he's like that's gonna be a separate thing. And technically the spiritual realm is slightly different than the Beyond. The Beyond is fully past everything where souls go after they die. The spiritual realm is where investiture is initially created.
So
he would lose out on so many like a select group if he just stated his own worldview of it being heaven. But sure.
So what you're saying is that it's a no comment moment rather than a wait till find out moment.
Yeah, yes. The Beyond is a no comment moment. Besides, souls go there, and that's just where they end up.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah, he's.
I really wanted a god to just be swallowing souls, but you know.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Anyways, back to where our chapter is. So Eshonai is heading to her meeting with the Five, and she decides to attune the rhythm of peace, which she needs to focus on doing to not match her current emotion. So basically, listeners can either just attune whatever emotion they're feeling, or they can kind of force themselves to feel a specific way. Kind of like how you're like, I'm going to force myself to smile even though I feel like shit right now, type situation. Like, I'm going to kind of try and force an emotion.
That's great.
So yeah, she's trying to chill out after seeing the dull forms and stuff, and her mom. So Eshonai briefly thinks about how the Five at the time had listened to her about Gavilar and agreed to kill him. They had hoped a long extended war would bore the Alethi, but they hadn't expected how the Gemhearts would change things. She then gets to the large tower and climbs the outer steps to the top, because she mentions how like they can't get inside the tower because it's completely like layered over with creme, which is like this weird kind of like muddy mineral like stuff.
Creme.
Yeah, it's called creme.
They always use that shit, bro.
So at the top of the tower were the leaders, one in each of their forms, including Eshonai. Bentley and her once-mate were also there. Eshonai starts the meeting by stating that she does not think that they should proceed with the test. Bentley is upset by this, and Davim, who is in work form, says that this form would be an amazing advance. Eshonai expresses her fears regarding certain forms bringing back their gods. Abroni, who is in mate form even though they wish they could be in a different form, says that Eshonai was the one who mentioned that she had seen a Surgebinder, and that Spren had betrayed them for men again. So what do you think about, we haven't talked about it already, but what do you think about one of each of the Five having one of the 5 forms that they know of? So that they're their council. They're like government is like these 5 people, and each of the 5 are in a different form because they know of 5 forms.
I already stated it when we first heard about the council.
Yeah, so they got each, and then I think they've also. So do you think that they would expand their council as they get new forms?
If they get Storm, when Storm form comes, I bet you she specifically probably will be, put as the Storm council.
They'll have like a 6th person.
God, I can only imagine. They said there was like so many of these.
There's hundreds of forms.
Yeah, huge ass fucking council.
I'm wondering if they would have like sub-councils. I wonder if they'd like
be Congress.
Oh god. But I wonder if they would have like eventually like sub-councils where they're like, okay, these forms are all kind of similar. So they're gonna be their own council, and then they have like a head of their council, who then goes to the main council, which is smaller.
Nah, bruh. It's gonna be like in Star Wars where they're doing that like floating platform in the middle, and then there's like thousands of fucking people just like in the balcony.
So Davin also says that if Surgebinders are back, then their gods may come back anyways. Eshonai, however, insists they don't know this, and it could have been an honor blade instead of a Surgebinder, as they had left one in Alethkar the night of the assassination. They go back and forth a little, and Eshonai eventually says that she will agree to trying the new form. She will agree that they can try the new form, but only if she is the first to try it, and she worries about her sister's research being lost in a failed transformation if Venli is the one to do it. Venli is upset, and Eshonai replies that she can leave her shards to Thud, who has trained with them in case the transformation goes wrong for her. The others agree to this, including Zoln, who is in dull form. So what do you think they mean that they left an honor blade in Elethkar?
They forgot an honor blade in Elethkar.
That what did they do in Alethkar?
Wait, what?
So they say that they left an honor blade in Alethkar the night of the assassination. What did they leave in Alethkar the night of the assassination?
The
Are we talking about the one dude?
Yeah, they left Zeth behind.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
what do you think it means that like either he is or he has an honor blade? We've heard the name a few times, but we don't really know what it is besides the fact that they say that you can confuse surge binders with someone with an honor blade.
Yeah, a sword.
So what do you think that means?
So is he not like a freaking?
He's not a surge binder.
Maybe.
That's why he's so similar to Kaladin.
You're right. He's a god. No, I'm joking.
We've not seen any Spren with Zeth.
They're all a god. They're all a god.
We've never seen Zeth with a Spren, even though he's got
So
powers.
that she's a tiny piece of a god, and therefore that makes them.
No, they're all gods. Every person in this entire thing,
my
if
gosh.
they have a point of view, is a god.
So after the meeting, Venli takes Eshonai aside, saying that she is going to take all of Venli's glory. Eshonai admits that Venli's ambition frightens her, as Venli had lied and said she was trying to find art form or meditation form. Venli asks if Eshonai doesn't trust her, speaking to betrayal, and Eshonai just responds that they will speak after she had tried this new form and seen if it is something to be concerned about. She then wonders if asking Dalinar for peace would mean she wouldn't have to try this new form. So do you think Eshonai is right to be scared of storm form?
Yeah, considering that, as she said, it could bring the gods back or whatever.
I mean, yeah, she seems to think that it's a form of power and thus it's gonna, it's too related to the gods. But Venli's argument is technically all forms are related to the gods, and none of the other forms we've found have brought the gods back.
That's because they haven't found every form, but okay.
So Eshonai could be overly paranoid, or she's right, and this is a
No.
terrible idea.
She's
I agree.
definitely right.
It's a terrible idea for sure.
Also, do you think that Eshonai is going to be able to speak to Dalinar before the next high storm? Because that's when she would need to change forms, is the next high storm.
Wait, do you think what?
Do you think Eshonai is going to... Because Eshonai's idea is she's like, I want to talk to Dalinar Kholin to try and get us to go to peace before I've got to try Stormform. So do you think she's going to be able to do that?
No.
Yeah, probably not.
Also, the fact that she wants to talk to Dalinar is crazy, but no.
Well, apparently she's been kind of, interested in talking to him for a while, and I think last chapter with them, Venli was like, yeah, Dalinar's not going to talk to you, you killed his brother. Or, we agreed to kill his brother. That's not happening.
But why not?
Because Venli doesn't think that Dalinar is going to be willing to... I mean, they haven't spoken to Dalinar since the assassination 6 years ago. Over 6 years ago. No. The only time Venli has, not Venli, Eshonai has seen Dalinar is during battle, which the last time she saw him was when, she almost killed him on the tower, which I think Venli also brought up the last chapter, being like, yeah, we killed his brother, and you almost killed him. Why would he talk to you? Yeah, he might, though. We know more about Dalinar, and he might talk to her, if she can talk to him.
Yeah, he
he's
probably
gonna
would.
get
To be
angry.
honest. I honestly think he probably would talk to her. I think he definitely wants peace. So.
Mhm. I think he also just really wants to know why they did it. If you could have a proper discussion with them about what happened.
I mean, can they even explain why they did it?
It sounds like they can.
Well, I don't know. I feel like their shit's pretty vague.
So that was the end of our interlude. So we start part 2 which is called Wind's Approach, with chapter 13, The Day's Masterpiece. And we start getting stuff from the listener songs for the epigraphs. So first we get Warform is worn for battle and reign, claimed by the gods, given to kill. Unknown, unseen, but vital to gain, it comes to those with the will. From the Listener Song of Listing, 15th stanza. So what do you think about getting information from the listeners in our new epigraphs?
What do I think about what?
The fact that we're getting information about the listener forms in our epigraphs.
Oh,
Therefore-
yeah, I was wondering about that. Yeah, because you know
I
how,
know that.
yeah, you know how in the beginning of the paragraphs they're like, oh, this form does this, and it says something about a god every time, and then
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, we didn't even get a storm one, did we?
Not yet, I don't think. I think we got war form, mate form, work form, nimble form.
I didn't even try putting them together because
and
Yeah, combining
dull form.
forms.
no, I mean the
Oh.
epigraphs themselves.
Oh, I gotcha. I thought you were combining forms because that would.
Imagine that.
Yeah, maybe that's how you get more forms, man.
Also,
Wow.
I thought I would ask, what spren do you think is needed for Warform?
War spread.
It would be, so these are their forms that they found easiest. These are going to be probably spren that we see frequently.
War spread.
We have not seen any Warspren.
What are you talking about? We see Warspren all the time.
We do not see
literally
Warspren.
War constantly.
Minae's trying to trick us. She's like, nah.
I'm not. I'm going to
The
tell you what
Yeah,
spread it is
it's
after
just-
you guess.
It's just like the ink spren, you know? She tried to trick us then too.
What do you think, Darkness? Do you have any guesses as to what sort of spren would be needed for Warform?
I was gonna say for Warspren.
Warspren, yeah.
Glory Spren?
It is Pain Spren that you need.
Pain.
Yeah, so they probably need to, like, I don't know what you would do to get Pain Spren during a high storm. I feel like you need to, like,
Don't
stab
Think
yourself
that's
or
healthy?
something.
No, I don't think that's healthy. First of all, we need therapy here again.
How do you get pain spren to come to you? I
Yeah,
wonder.
it's like, I'm gonna go, like,
Pain.
stub my toe. I'm gonna let this boulder in the high storm get flung at me. Just gonna put myself in danger. like,
Here's
I'll
an
be a
idea,
hit.
right? You gather all the mate forms, right? Those
Oh,
that
God.
are like into BDSM, right?
Oh, God.
and then you use them to generate pain spren, you know?
Anyway, so yeah, so Pain Spren is equal to Warform, apparently. So,
You think they have climate-based forms?
don't know. They don't know all of their forms.
But you do. Why don't you
I
tell
don't.
them?
I don't think we've had all of them listed because there's so many.
Oh, we get way more than what's already been spoken about?
Well, because
Cool.
they'll tell us in the epigraphs some that aren't eventually in this part, ones that they don't have. I think they start with all the ones that we already have heard about from Eshonai, and then they go into other ones further in this part of the book. But yeah, so we switch to Shallan's point of view, as she sits at the front of the chill-pulled cart next to Bluth, one of Tovlakov's mercenaries. He eyed her every once in a while. Not Bloop, Bluth. It's angry Bloop. Yeah, so he eyed her every once in a while as Shallan glanced at the floor of the Frostlands that they pass. The plants here grew much bigger than Shallan had seen before, and she wonders how they survive high storms. She asks this to Bluth, but he just grunts and says that she is using too many words he doesn't understand, and that she thinks he's as stupid as a stick. Shallan almost tells Bluth
No.
to not insult her
Stupid
stick.
as her stick. Yeah.
She's like, don't insult
Stupid
my
as her
stick! The stick was very smart and very difficult to talk to.
I loved it. That was
I know,
hilarious.
I love that so much.
The
But
dude
yeah.
doesn't even know what she's talking about either.
Yeah, she's just like,
stick.
she almost said that, but she stops herself. She's like, don't talk badly about the stick. But she instead
Tiny
tells
stick.
Bluth that everyone is stupid in some way, and explains how she couldn't even make fire after being shipwrecked. However, Bluth doesn't seem to find any humor when Shallan jokes about how Light Eyes shouldn't know that making fires is more important than fancy words. So what do you think about Shallan trying to joke around with Bluth?
I'm stick.
I am stick.
I am stick.
So Shallan then... Oh, go ahead. That was gonna be where you ended
know-
it.
Darkness, we need to answer that like always. Anytime she asks a
I
question,
am
say that.
stick.
I am stick.
Yep.
But you could be fire.
I am stick.
But I am stick.
But yeah, what do you think about Shallan trying to interact with Bluth a little bit?
I am stick.
Okay, thank you. Thought you were darkness.
I am stick.
I mean, honestly, I didn't even like him, so I was like, why
You
you
don't
even
like
try?
Bluth?
No,
No.
He's so grumpy.
just
Yeah.
like you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so Shallan then briefly thinks about her sketchbook before blanking her mind. Eventually the carriage slows, and Shallan briefly glances at the parchment weaving hats in the other carriage. Bluth helps her down when prompted, and Shallan tries to not show her pain as she steps down onto her feet. Tvlakov comes over and says that they don't have much in terms of fancy meals, but Shallan replies that whatever they have will be fine. She also asks to be put in one of the empty cages with 2 or 3 of the sides down. She has her chest put inside and asks for the key, which Tvlakov hesitates longer than Shallan would have liked before handing it over. Once the men were out of sight, she crawled over to the trunk to stay off her feet and opened the trunk to see Pattern inside. She tells him that Yasna's books need to reach the Shattered Plains, and the Alethi need to be warned of the Voidbringers returning. Pattern seems confused, and Shallan just replies it's a human thing. She then begins cleaning her feet with some water Bluth had brought and a cloth from inside Yasna's trunk. She asks Pattern if he knows anything about the Voidbringers, and he replies that he came to her because they were returning, and that he had been sent to her specifically because of lies about her family. Shallan quickly blocks out her memories as she focuses on cleaning her feet. So what do you think about Shallan using one of the cages
Stop
as her own
blocking your
carriages?
memories, Daryl.
Shallan is
Stop.
traumatized.
Stop. Just let it be. God damn.
Shallan, that's gonna be a thing for Shallan. Is she blocks out her memories and disassociates a lot.
I feel like this is just the mental health book version.
That's what I told you guys previously. I'm like, everyone's got fucking issues.
I don't know. Does everybody have issues? What's wow, I can't remember names. I'll get back to it.
Okay. You can
remember
describe
the
the
name.
person, and I can tell you their name
I-
probably.
Honestly, can't remember.
Okay.
I'll get back to it in a minute when I figure it out.
yeah, what do you think about Shallan using one of the cages as her carriage?
I was trying to picture it and I could not.
So it's basically like a big like wooden so it's like a big wooden cart with like bars on it, right? So it's like a solid ground, and then like the three sides of the cart, like the floor and roof are solid, and the I think three sides except for the side facing like the back of like where the like cart the person who's like driving the cart would be sitting, that one's also solid. But the other three are like bars, like almost like a jail cell but wooden. And then they have big like boards on top of the cart that will come down to block the barred sides during a high storm. And so they've slid down all but the one side that like has the door. So she's basically in like a wooden box.
She's in a prison cell.
Yeah. And she's like, I don't know if this is smart, but I think she also wants some privacy.
Yep. And then she has what's his nuts go listen to their conversation.
I think that's a different chapter.
And then completely just fucking lets them basically know that she heard their conversation. I thought that was the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
So Shallan then asks Pattern if he has a name, but he replies that his name is a bunch of numbers, so just Pattern is fine. Shallan then wraps her clean feet in cloth as she has no shoes or slippers and wonders if she can buy some boots off the slavers. As Shallan glances through Yasna's books, she is shocked to see that Yasna had kept the picture that Shallan had drawn of her with her most precious books. What do you think about the fact that cryptids have strings of numbers for names?
They're barcodes.
I was thinking more of like they have like those like weird numbers, like one of them's name is like pi, like 3.14, blah 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 blah.
Oh, that's crazy.
I would find it funny if there was some mathematicians in here, and he was like, "Oh, I can't. You couldn't say my name. It's a bunch of numbers." And he goes, "Try me."
I have memorized so many numbers. Also, what do you think about the fact that Yasna kept the picture that Shallan drew of her?
No wonder she's quote unquote dead.
Maybe it has to do with their profession? Question mark.
What do you mean?
Like the spren, the names.
Oh, you think maybe like their string of numbers is related to like their thing, whatever they do in the cosmic realm?
Yeah, they're mathematicians in the cosmos.
I think we find out later that he's a scholar.
Yeah.
He's a stupid little scholar. I love him when he's stupid.
Don't
in the first
call him
chapters.
stupid.
Oh,
He's so cute when he's stupid in the first few chapters of this book.
He's not dumb.
He's so cute and dumb.
Wait. In the first few chapters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
this
clearly
book.
getting better.
Yeah, when he's like jumping up and down and bumping into Shallan's foot.
That's bullshit.
He's so cute. I love Pattern.
He just needs to stay cute.
So Shallan soon begins crying, for Yasna but also for her sketchbooks that she lost in the shipwreck. Pattern says she will draw again, but Shallan says she doesn't want to. Pattern insists that she will keep drawing, just as he keeps vibrating and the winds keep blowing. Shallan also states that the soul caster that was to be sent back to her brothers had also been lost, before asking about the Voidbringers again. Pattern replies that the spren of him are returning. So, do you think that we have seen or heard of any spren of Odium yet?
Yeah, him. Pattern.
You think Pattern's a spren of Odium?
I don't know. I'm just saying it in general.
What do you think, Darkness? You think we've seen any Odium spren yet?
Probably, actually.
I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna think really hard on this.
Maybe it's the Storm Spren.
Maybe.
Oh my god, the freaking is this you know that Spren that I think it was the Spren. I don't know if she was fighting them. Syl? When she was fighting? You know,
the Decay Spren?
No.
Because she fought like the Decay. I think it was like actually I think it might have been Death Spren. She was
in the freaking storm.
Oh, in the storm. She was
that's Spren too.
I think she was just kind of trying to hold back the winds during the high storm.
She was also fighting storm. She was fighting Storm Spren.
She wasn't fighting anything. She had her hands out like she was holding back the wind. Kelvin said.
Nuh-uh. That's not true.
Okay.
I was there.
But yeah.
What
so then
spren do we have right now that we've seen?
We've
sprens have we seen so far?
a lot of spren. We've seen Pain Spren, Exhaustion Spren, Fear Spren.
Okay, so you're not talking about like just what people have. You're talking about all spren.
I'm talking about all spren.
I gotcha. Well, I mean, we've seen so many.
And then
spren,
we've obviously
have to have
seen like
at least an Odium spren once.
And then we get chapter 14 called Iron Stance, which starts off with this picture. So I provided 2 pictures because we get 2 pictures this week. The first one is a bunch of the different stances, and it has a little note at the bottom that says it was half eaten by an axe hound, and that this page had been stolen. So it's very likely that Naz is the one who stole this from somewhere. Naz has been kind of like sneaking around, apparently, getting stuff for Chris. So this is some of the different stances that they have in fighting. And then we get another epigraph, which is mate form meek for love to share. Given to life, it brings us joy. To find this form, one must care. True empathy one must employ. From the Listener's Song of Listening, 5th stanza. So what spren do you think is needed for mate form?
Love spren.
Intercourse spren.
It's life spren.
See, I was right. See,
Close enough.
I mean,
but I mean, life spren
yeah.
also appear, like, we've mostly seen life spren around plants.
Well, then they'd be fucking all the time.
yeah. I mean, they do. Plants are always fucking each other. You know what?
All that pollen.
They're just like, come here, baby, let me pollinate you.
Oh my gosh. So we switch to Adolin's point of view as he sits in a private room attached to the dueling arena while speaking to his Shardblade. He talks about how the man who had challenged him hadn't expected Adolin to win and had wanted the shard plate that Adolin inherited from his mother. Adolin also hadn't named his Shardblade like most men did, as he felt like the original owner of the sword must have given it a name, and it would be presumptuous to rename the sword. Adolin tells his sword that he acts with confidence around everyone else, but if he loses, it could greatly hinder his father's plans. He also tells the sword that if this is their last fight together, that he appreciates the sword. He then dismisses his blade and begins to walk down the hall, noting each of the 10 stances depicted in reliefs, one for each of the 10 essences. So what do you think about the fact that Adolin speaks to his Shardblade and also refuses to name it?
Probably a good thing, to be honest, in the end. I don't know how, but it'll probably...
That's just gonna turn into Nightblood.
It'll make its own name.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised.
Adolin's just gonna put his, like, Shardblade out in the High Storm for, like, the next, like, 3 years, and eventually it's just gonna gain sentience.
Exactly.
Would that work?
I have no idea. I don't think so.
Yeah,
You sure? Because
it would be odium all of a sudden.
no, you sure? Because like
Well, because you don't absorb
Nightblood
the
is just, like-
Stormlight unless you, like, have, like, are made, like, only gemstones absorb the Stormlight. So I think it would have to be made of, like, a gemstone in order to absorb it.
okay, so what stops a gemstone from becoming sentient?
Don't know. They don't, though.
So,
I think probably
started
one of the
thinking about some
reasons...
things.
Sorry,
Oh,
go ahead,
go on.
Isaac.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think one of the reasons that the breath specifically makes like a sword like Nightblood sentient is because breaths are like part of their soul, kind of. So like you're inputting like bits of your soul along with the investiture into the sword, whereas Stormlight is just investiture, not soul.
So let's say, okay, so what if we end up somehow implanting some part of a soul into a Shardblade?
I think it might be possible then.
But how is it not part of a soul if it like technically comes from like you summoning it?
Because I
Like,
think
is it not?
because the way because each of obviously investiture obviously works different, as we've talked about in every planet. On Nalthis, where Warbreaker is, like you're born with a little bit of investiture, and it's like infused into you. And so like I think and when you get rid of it, I think it like because it's like kind of attached to you, it takes part of your soul with it.
Okay.
So like this, all this investiture is just in a storm. It's not like attached to people, and it
Yeah.
hasn't been with them forever, type thing. Yeah. So Renarin and Navani were waiting for Adolin in the
Wait,
stage
okay.
room.
I'm sorry. So I have this thought.
Yeah.
You know how ruin preservation had like bodies that they were able to be a part, like they
Yeah, they had vessels. Yeah.
vessels. That's the word I'm looking for. They have vessels. Isn't that very similar to the way that the crab people bond with their friend though?
A little bit, but probably on a lesser scale.
So what would happen then? Let's say, right, if it's similar enough, what if Odium just masked themselves as a spren and then took a vessel? Like I'm thinking he's trying to take a vessel anyways, like with
I
whatever
think
the fuck
he
his name is,
should
but-
have a vessel already, because the vessel is like basically the person who took the power. Because the power itself doesn't really have like a personality or a mind without the person who's holding it. So I think
have a vessel when he was talking to everybody.
so like the vessel basically can, because it's like infused with the power, it can easily transfer between all the different realms whenever it wants without a perpendicularity. Like it's part of the power. It becomes part of the power. So like Sazed, who now has like
Yeah.
all of the power, he has both preservation and ruin. He like no longer is in the physical realm, right? When he's like talking to them at the end and like giving them like he like made books and stuff. Like he doesn't have like the body is like weirdly infused with the power. I don't know how to explain it well.
Well, because that's what I'm saying. Because like, did Ruin actually have a body though? Then
So yes. Remember, he had the red-haired body. He had a red. It appeared at the end of Hero of Ages.
Did it? I thought it
Yes.
was. I thought that was like a flashback thing. Okay, maybe.
No,
Okay.
there was. It was very, very briefly mentioned as
Wasn't he a redhead?
Say's. Yeah, he was a redhead. Addie was a
Yeah,
redhead.
the redhead. Yeah.
Yeah.
thought
So yeah,
that was-
the body of Addie briefly appears, like right at the end when Sazed goes out to check on Vin, who's also appeared after she dies as Preservation, and he like grabs like the two
what I'm saying,
powers that's flowing out of them.
But then, that means that Preservation wasn't a body, but he was able to speak. Or
Yeah.
at
So
least do some
he
stupid
he
shit?
had a so remember Preservation's body.
Was in the cognitive realm.
They can like it was probably in the cognitive realm or even the spiritual realm, and then when the vessel is killed, the body goes back to the physical realm. Because whenever we've seen a vessel die,
Okay.
yeah, it
I
like
do remember
shows
that,
up.
actually. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha. That's why I was confused. I don't know. They just
Yeah.
seemed really similar. I
Yeah.
thought maybe Odium was going to be a Spren, like literally a Spren.
No, so every I mean technically they don't need to be human, they just need to be a sentient being. But every shard that is considered alive and not splintered has a vessel. The only shards that
The reason
technically
I say
don't have
that is because I feel like Odium is trying to use.
So remember, we in book 1 we get a letter, and in the letter it refers to Odium also as race, and race is Rayse, and race is the person that took Odium's power. So Odium's vessel is
Gotcha.
race.
Oh, okay, I don't remember that. That's why I'm confused.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
every single shard has a vessel except for the what's considered like the splintered or killed shards, which Odium has killed 3 of them, which is Ambition. So Ambition's vessel is likely dead because Ambition is splintered. And the 2 shards from Elantris' world, Cell, are both dead. So they likely don't have vessels, which is why they can't really interact properly with people anymore and with the world. So both Dominion and Devotion are also dead and likely are just splintered powers without vessels.
Were the for Elantris, were they like splintered or were they like were they shattered or whatever?
Yeah,
or
so we
they...
get the explanation in the Arcanum Unbounded essay that they were a long time ago killed by Odium, and their powers have basically, the 2 powers of those 2 shards have basically been like all fucked up, and they're like stuck in the cognitive realm and partially combined, which is what creates Aeon Door, the magic system. And so they basically, in order to access the powers, is they have to like basically create like these little, using correct symbols, they have to create portals into the cognitive realm to access the power. But they don't have vessels anymore, and they're dead, and that's why they can't do anything.
That's what I'm saying though. Like,
yeah.
If you kill the vessels, right?
Yes, and as far as we know, even as far as I know, with all of the current Cosmere knowledge, we do not know of a way to bring a vessel, like bring a shard back. If a shard is splintered, as far as I am currently aware, there is no way to bring back a shard. Its powers
That's
are
what I was
all
curious
fucked
about.
over.
Like, are the powers going to be transferred to just a new vessel, or like,
No, they're like weirdly all like broken. So like we know that in Warbreaker, the vessel of endowment, she's the one who like talks to people as they die and asks them if they want to return. So she's like specifically sending people back as returned. If she was not, if like endowment say was shattered or splintered, I don't know if there would be returned anymore.
Okay.
Because that's a conscious choice that endowment makes.
So yeah, I think Stormspren are going to be
of Odium.
Yeah, I mean it's just because we don't know a lot about it, in my opinion. But
anyway, so getting back to the chapter after our big Cosmere info dump there about shards. So Redwin and Navani are waiting for Adolin in the staging room, where he was to put on his armor. Navani had drawn a glyph for safety and glory, chastising Adolin for not at least knowing his glyphs, before burning the prayer. After the moment of silence when the prayer burned, Adolin asked about the ship that Yasna and Shalon were on. Navani had reached out to the shallow crypts where they were meant to land and port over a week ago, but they had heard nothing yet. Navani just waves her hand dismissively and says that Yasna must have gotten caught up in something, which caused the delay.
Yeah, something.
So what do you think about Navani assuming that Yasna just got distracted, and that's why she hasn't reached out?
She's totally not dead.
She's definitely dead.
Mm-hmm.
We saw her die.
No.
She's not dead.
We saw her die.
You already ruined it. You already ruined it
We saw
last
her
time.
die.
You don't have to try to. You don't have to try to make it. I mean, what if she comes back from whatever the fuck place?
From the cognitive realm? What are you trying to
Yeah,
say?
that's it. Yeah. Like, whatever the fuck that place is. I was gonna say the spiritual realm, but we've been talking about the fact that those aren't the same. So
Spiritual realm is where the shard's power comes from.
So that's where Adonesium is, right?
Well, Adonesium is splintered into 16.
Nope. He's there.
Oh, okay.
Do you
He's
think
waiting.
so? Like, if a shard needs a vessel, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Do you think Adonesium has one too?
That is a very good question.
had
That is
one?
something I want answered, is whether Adonesium had a vessel. Or if somehow, if all of the shards coming together create sentience
Makes
on its
Adonesium.
own.
I feel like all the shards together make Adonesium. So, I mean, it'd
They
be
do.
like
Well-
if Stays came around and just took all the shards. Now that would be cool.
Because, like, I'm wondering if you, say, splintered all of the shards and then shoved them all onto one planet. Would
Mhm.
just Adonesium just come out of that because they're all there together? Or do you need
Or
a
is
vessel?
Adonesium like an actual, vessel person that had it before?
Had all of them together. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know. I think that's something that is probably planned to potentially be answered when Brandon writes the Yolen book, which Yolen is the original planet where Adonesium was on, and where Hoyd is from.
Which one was that one?
Oh, that's the book's
Hasn't
not
been
out
written
yet.
yet.
What was the planet the first humans were from?
Yolen. Yolen.
Cool. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
where Hoyd
confirmed.
from. Or
Yeah.
well, where Wit is from.
Yeah, where Wit is from, and where
I mean-
all of the original shard vessels are from.
That makes sense if like, he's trying to like some. Do we know what happened to his planet?
What happened to Yolen?
No.
I believe that Chris says in the Arcanum Unbounded that no one can get to Yolen. It's like hidden. No one
I'm
knows
gonna
where it
say-
is or how to get there.
It's like Raptail.
I'm gonna say his planet is fucked up.
Mm.
That's why.
And
I mean, they
reason
killed
why
a
he's
god
back-
there. It very likely it could be super fucked
Yeah,
up.
so- He wants his people back or some shit, or like he wants to fix this shit.
Mm.
He's gathering all this shit to do that specifically.
Yeah, we don't
Hmm.
still know the specifics of Hoyd's plan. Everyone has theories. My theory is that he wants to become like not become Adonesium, but he wants to like somehow do something with Adonesium's power by collecting all the different powers.
Yeah, like fix his fucking world.
Yeah, like
Okay.
because he obviously doesn't want to ascend to godhood because he's never tried to get a shard, but he's trying to collect the powers.
Yeah.
So-
Well. Yeah.
Hoyd's got plans.
Uh-huh.
Alright, so
Maybe that tournament's gonna happen, and whoever wins gets to become Adonesium.
oh my gosh. Yeah. So
Okay.
Aelin,
So
Aelin-
I know this might be a spoiler, and obviously you're not gonna answer it. We now know that Says could take in the shards and become their vessel.
Yeah.
Does that mean that necessarily anyone from these different planets do the same thing?
So remember, they said that Sazed could take the powers because he's connected
was
to both
both.
shards.
Yes.
So
but
because
at the same
feruchemists are specifically have investiture from both ruin and preservation. So you have to be connected to a shard in order to take its powers. And the more connected you are, the better it's going to like connect to you.
So it makes sense that Hoyd would be able to do it, considering that he's connected to the original god himself, right?
I wonder if that's true. Yeah, if like anyone from Yolen technically could take on any shard, or if like I'm not.
Or all of them
100%
at the
sure.
same time.
That's why he's able to take all the powers, right?
Well, no, because he's able to. He's collecting the powers just like anyone would. He's not doing anything special to take the powers.
I mean, it's not like he has feruchemy, so.
He does not.
No,
He
no.
has not been able to get any like he's only gotten powers the way anyone would. Like he has collected the Lorasium bead from
Mhm.
Scadrial, so he may have Mistborn powers right now. He collected breath from Warbreaker because you can just buy them. He was not able to become an Elantrian specifically. He tried that and failed.
Speaking of the freaking, are we ever getting any more info on the people not people, but the orbs or whatever that are tied to him?
Eventually.
The what that was talking to him?
The
The-
orbs things.
The Seance?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, but like the
evil
bad
ones.
ones or whatever.
The Skays? Believe Brandon's planning to write more books on Cell, so we probably will get more about them in the future. All we know is that they're basically the equivalent of Seance,
But
Hmm.
but from the other power. I believe they're Dominion's version, and Devotion is the Seance. They're not necessarily evil. It's just
They're evil.
they're under Dominion's like
there's
powers.
never two good gods. We know. Always one evil, one good.
So yeah, all we know is they're basically the exact same as Seance, except they're from a different power source, and thus they're like a different color. We don't know if they have like any special abilities though.
I hope one day we get large enough as a podcast that Brandon watches this, and then he can answer some of these questions himself.
That'd be amazing. Brandon, please email us at corruptedmidnightttv@gmail.com. Anyway, so Adolin thinks he was hoping to meet Shallan soon, as he wondered if someone else picking out a woman for him would work better than his most recent relationships. He had recently broken up with Danlin because of some things she had been saying to her friends. Unfortunately, she was still one of Dalinar's scribes, so he saw her from time to time around the war camp. As Adolin's armor is put on him, Renarin comes over to check that Adolin had eaten chicken, spoken to his sword, and had their mother's chain in his pocket. Navani says that their superstitions are silly, but Adolin and Renarin say that they are for good luck. So what do you think about these superstitions of Adolin's before going into a duel?
Speaking to your sword? Like, come on, man.
First of all, the most outrageous thing there is eating chicken before a fucking battle.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, the question is it really chicken? Have we gotten into that?
Oh, God.
They call every single bird on Roshar chicken because birds are not common. I don't know if we've got into that yet or not, but any bird can be a chicken. That's a thing here.
You're kidding.
Yep. It could be parrot, it could be crow, it could be like a robin. We don't know. It's all chicken.
That's nasty as fuck.
I agree.
It could be ostrich, for all we know.
I mean, ostriches are really good, so.
I'm just saying, anything's chicken.
Hey, man, I want to go there. No. Bring me to Roshar now.
Basically, anything that's not like crab-like is from
chicken.
Shinovar.
Chicken.
And no one else really knows what they are. Only any like earth-like creatures that aren't like crustaceans are just from Shinovar, and no one else really understands them. Also, were you surprised that Adolin was interested in this arranged marriage?
No, he likes women.
He likes dating women, but he's also really bad at dating women. So he's like, hey, maybe this will work out for me since I'm not the one choosing.
Interesting.
What did you think about that, Mythic?
I mean, hey, man, you need some arranged marriages, huh? Nothing wrong with that.
So Renarin then mentions that Bridge 4 isn't happy about Adolin dueling, but Adolin replies sarcastically that he is so sad they won't be able to babysit him, and that he doesn't like people minding him. Renarin insists that there is more to it, and Adolin replies that he doesn't like Kaladin, as he feels there's something off about him. Renarin lets it go, and tells Adolin to try not to lose. So although Adolin hasn't completely abstained from dueling while at the Shattered Plains, so that he could keep up his skills, he had kept away from important duels so as not to risk his shards. As he walks out, he glances at the audience and sees both his father and the king watching, but he does not see Sadeas. He thinks this is good since he'd be distracted by Sadeas, but also thinks that his goal is to get Sadeas in the dueling arena eventually. Currently, though, he was going to be fighting Salinor, who is borrowing Shardplate from the king so that he can fight with full shards. So what do you think about the fact that duelists borrow shards from the king so they can have full shard duels? So if they have like shard plate, they can borrow a shard blade, and if they have a shard blade, they can borrow shard plate.
Pretty cool. I mean, it's beneficial in general, considering that it would be like one of those political things you do in order to entertain your subjects or whatever.
Yeah,
Yep.
and also you would
Makes your
not
girl
want to
happy.
fart. You would not want to fight.
Fart?
You don't want to fart?
You want to fart? Wait, what?
I was trying
Wait,
to.
can I not fart in the oven?
You would not want to fight with shard blades without shard plate on.
With shard plate? Yeah, you would definitely
my
I
not
don't think you want to fart in Sharplate either.
Oh my god.
I don't think you want to fart in shard plate either, yeah.
Shush, I
100%.
misspoke. My just
Yeah,
brain
you do that
isn't
a lot, to
working.
be honest.
My brain doesn't work, okay?
I mean, it worked just fine a couple hours ago.
It was not working fine a couple hours ago.
You guys were
So
doing just fine. What are you talking about?
that's because I wasn't the one
Totally
talking
didn't
the
walk
whole
into
time.
a bomb. Totally didn't walk into a minefield or anything.
Look, as he and Salinar wait for the High Judge to start the duel, Adolin thinks that this match is an insult, as he had to offer both of his shards if he lost, whereas Salinar was only offering a blade. The High Judge then calls for them to summon their blades, and Adolin's blade comes into his hand a moment before Salinar's, meaning that Adolin's heart is beating faster. Adolin starts in Wind Stance, and Salinar goes into Flame Stance. Wind Stance was familiar to Adolin, but he suddenly felt it didn't suit the situation. They were at war. It wasn't time for a show. It was time for a
I need
beating.
war stance. I need war stance,
He's
guys.
Iron Stance.
War stance.
Do you think people with high blood pressure would be OP in this world?
Yes. Only if they have a shard blade or shard.
Yeah,
blade.
only if they have a shard blade.
Yeah, but other than that, they
It's like
probably
the
die
Wild West drawing your gun instead it's how quickly can you draw your shard blade to kill the other person first.
I mean, I feel like
I
they both
wonder-
kind of waited on each other, though, didn't they?
Well, they had to because it's a duel and the High Judge had to call it. But I'm saying, like, in a normal battle situation, like if you're at war, you're against other Shardbearer, it's like, who can summon it fastest?
Hey, actually, wouldn't you think that like a
Enemy.
betrayal and shit would be worse
Hmm?
in a like 1v1 battle? Like, let's say, right, you don't expect somebody to betray you, like Sadius. But like they're right there with you, right? And they plan on fighting you, right? And they like just confront you. Like, wouldn't that just make you even more like? Wouldn't it like aggravate you even more?
Yeah,
Therefore,
so you're
like,
up faster. Yeah.
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 Here's the next idea I have. Right.
Hmm.
So the shard blades, they just appear, right?
They form out of mist. So, like, they basically, like, mist forms, and then, like, the blade forms out of mist, and then they are, like, they always have, like, condensation on them when they form.
Okay. So could you like hold out your hand and form it like where you're like right against them, and then like the sword forms inside them?
I believe you could, yes.
Yeah. I mean, how easy would that be to kill somebody? Just be like, hey man, I'm a 10 heartbeats and boom, you're dead.
I think the only way that
Yeah,
wouldn't work is if they had shard plate on, because it has like some sort of like repellent, not really repelling, but like blocking effect. So I think you couldn't do that if they're in shard plate. But otherwise, you definitely could. I think just form the blade within them.
That's what I like literally thought of instantly as soon as you started suggesting it. But like, it's interesting how if that works out, you could literally like put an arm around the person and be like, "Hey, what's up? How's it going?" And then, you know,
Yep.
totally wouldn't do that to Midnight.
Wow. So Adolin switches to Iron Stance as Salinar gets closer, and he slaps away Salinar's strike before slamming his sword against Salinar's helm 3 times, 2 of which hit, which creates a bunch of cracks across it. Adolin grunts as he feels the thrill. He slams his sword down against Salinar's breastplate and then kicks him backwards to the ground. Salinar drops his blade, and Adolin dismisses his own as he stomps on Salinar's helm, causing it to explode and reveal Salinar's panicked face. He then begins kicking Salinar's breastplate until it also shatters. So what do you think about Adolin deciding to change how he usually fights in duels?
That was interesting.
He was like, I'm just gonna like start stomping on this man. I'm not even gonna like keep my shard blade out.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it makes sense.
I deadass thought he was just gonna kill him.
I mean, that's not the
I was
point.
like,
The point
that's
is to take his blade from him.
Well, you're gonna take it anyway if he's dead.
I guess that's true.
I deadass thought, oh well, way to make a statement, I guess. Go you.
So the Hydra shouts for Adolin to stop, and as she shouts that this is a duel, not a wrestling match, Adolin asks if he broke any rules. He's met with silence for a moment before he repeats himself, and the Hydra starts to make another excuse, but Adolin says that he wins then. However, the Hydra replies that he needs to break 3 pieces of the shard plate to win. Adolin reaches down, rips off part of Salinar's shard plate, and smashes it between his hands. He then asks Salinar for his blade. Salinar tries to get to his feet, but he's unable to with his broken shard plate. He accuses Adolin of cheating, even if he can't say how Adolin cheated. Adolin slowly places his gauntleted hand around Salinar's neck and asks for his prize. Fear spread crawled around the man as he summons his blade for Adolin, and the Hydra calls out that Adolin won. Salinar then breaks the bond with the blade by touching the ruby on the pommel, causing it to flash with light for a moment. Adolin then crushes the ruby in his hand as the crowd begins loudly chattering. So what do you think about how, like...
I liked it. I liked it more the fact that he was like, well, you have to break 3 things. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. All right, broke that, now I win.
just calmly looks down, tears off a piece of the armor, just like, crush!
There you go, I broke it. Yay, I win. Okay.
Next.
Yeah. Thank you. Next.
So Adolin makes his way back to the staging area, and Renarin meets him there, wide-eyed and saying that Adolin was incredible. Adolin then gives the new shard blade to Renarin, stating that he might as well have a full set of shards. Renarin hesitantly takes the blade, grimacing as he clutches it. Navani then comes over to Adolin as he sits down and tells him that this wouldn't have worked on a more skilled opponent, that it will cause others to underestimate Adolin's dueling skills, and thus get him more duels. Adolin just nods and pretends that was why he had done it. So what do you think about Renarin and Navani's responses to Adolin's duel?
I mean, they totally understood why he did it, you know? Also, but that's like pretty smart, actually.
Yeah, it worked out. It wasn't fully his plan, but it worked out for him.
Yep.
Also, what do you think about Renarin, like, grimacing as he grabs the shard blade?
He obviously has a weird thing with shard shit.
Sure, shit.
That means he won't name his sword, you know.
That's Adolin who won't name his sword.
Oh, whatever, you know. I mean, aren't they the same family?
I mean, they're brothers.
Yeah, so.
I mean, Dalinar named his sword. His sword is Oathbringer. Well, it's now
I see.
Sadius' sword. But
I say I don't think he has a sword anymore.
yeah, he gave away his sword, but
Gave it away, so I'll be right back.
He should name his sword Kaladin.
oh my gosh.
I should name it Schlong.
Oh God.
So we move to chapter 15, A Hand with the Tower. And our epigraph is, work form warm for strength and care. Whispering spren breathe at your ear. Seek first this form, its mysteries to bear. Found here is freedom from fear. From the Listener's Song of Listing, 19th stanza. What spren do you think is needed for work form?
Sweat spren.
Sweat spren. What do you think, Mythic?
Work spren. Wait, come on.
It's gravitation spren, apparently. I was surprised by this
What?
one. Yeah.
Fuck.
I looked
That
these
makes
up on the
sense.
Coppermine and I was like,
How does that
gravitation
make sense?
spren.
What?
Well, the pickaxe goes up and then it goes down.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Also,
Our D&D party's about to learn that.
What were you gonna say, Darkness?
nothing completely unrelated, but don't worry about it.
Okay. So we go back to Shallan's point of view for this chapter as she points out that Tvlakv is wearing a different pair of shoes today, but he insists that he only has the one pair and she must be mistaken. Shallan thinks that Tvlakv doesn't care about being caught in his lies. Shallan was currently sitting at the front of the carriage with her feet bandaged after she had spent the whole day applying knobweed sap with some wild knobweed that she had been I can't speak. That she had seen growing along the path they were taking. Shallan decides not to call Tvlakv on his lie and states that they'll hopefully come across some other merchants she can trade with at some point. So what do you think about Tvlakv not wanting to give Shallan his shoes?
Isn't? I mean, why would you give anybody your shoes? He covets his shoes, man. He's got a shoe collection.
Apparently.
Shoes are overrated anyway.
Mm. Yeah, as
Everybody's using them.
As we open your closet and find out you have 70 pairs of shoes.
I have like 12 pairs, but that's
Oh my
about it.
gosh, why do you have
Exactly.
so many shoes?
I literally have 2 sets of shoes.
I
I don't
think I
use
have-
them. I just leave them in the closet.
Why?
You collect them.
I have like 3, I think. I have like a pair of sneakers, a pair of sandals, and a pair of high heels.
Oh my god, me too. No, I'm joking.
I mean, we all know you have high heels.
Ugh, I wish.
Darkness's drag queen name is Lightness.
No, his drag name is Sunshine.
No, it's brightness.
Oh, that works too.
That's great. That's great.
Hmm
Uh,
Midnight's is midnight.
I actually think I have more shoes than I said. Hold on.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my god,
Don't
I-
look at it right now.
Yeah, count them all right now. Let's do it
Oh my gosh.
right here on stream.
Oh my god.
No, it's fine.
Pattern mentions that Tvlakv is lying, and Shallan replies that he knows she is dependent on him when her feet are injured, and she is without shoes. She then notices Tvlakv whispering with Tag and tells Pattern to go spy on them, and then come back to her and repeat what they said. While she waits for Pattern to return, she looks at herself in a hand mirror that she had found in Yasna's trunk. Noting that she looked like a beggar in a once fine dress, she thinks about how Yasna always kept herself looking presentable, but not to try to seduce people into doing her will, as she thought that was no better than a man forcing a woman to do what he wanted because he was stronger. Pattern soon returns.
Agree.
Pattern soon returns and repeats what Tvlakv and Tag had been speaking about. Tag apparently wanted to get rid of Shallan, but Tvlakv thought they could get money out of whomever is missing Shallan. Shallan can't help but think of the preciseness of Pattern's repetition of the conversation could be useful. However, she worried that Tvlakv thinking of her as no more than another slave to sell. So what do you think about Pattern's ability to basically record and replay conversations?
What's the question?
What did you think about Pattern's ability to basically record and replay conversations?
No, it makes sense, considering, well, her ability makes sense with that, so. Also, he's just a camera.
He's a little audio recorder.
Oh my god. Shallan's the camera?
Schlong.
He's the microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So Shallan wanders over to Tvlakv, dismissing Tag, and tells him that there's a great fortune waiting for her at the Shattered Plains because she is betrothed to someone important there. Tvlakv doesn't seem to believe her, but glances towards Tag when she mentions that she knows that his men don't agree with keeping her around. Shallan then leans in close and tells Tvlakv that he doesn't know what storm he is in here. She tells him to take his petty schemes and shove them in a crevice, and that if he does what she says, his debts will be cancelled. Tvlakv is shocked that she knows about this, and Shallan, in her confidence, creates a light weaving of herself without meaning to make herself look more put together. She allows the stormlight to fade as Tvlakv leans away from her before she stalks off back to the cart. What do you think about Shallan confronting Tvlakv?
I mean, what's he gonna do?
I mean, I think it was stupid, but
No, she's clearly in charge.
She's like, what would Yasna do? She would go tell him to fucking deal with it and do what she says.
But you're not Yasna.
She is not Yasna.
They're gonna fucking murder you. They already thought about it. What the hell?
Blue suddenly charges into camp, crying out to put out the fire before dumping broth onto it. Shallan wanders over to hear him talking about some other people nearby that are likely bandits or mercenaries. He seems fairly sure that they are deserters and are dangerous, as they are well armed. The men quickly break up their camp and begin getting the carriages moving again. Shallan briefly regards the slaves, feeling bad for them as they look half-starved. As they get going, Shallan sees light in the darkness and hears noises in the distance. She asks Bluth a bit about things, and he says they're trying to put a gully between them in case they are seen or heard. He also mentions that they likely won't be bribed, as deserters aren't like common criminals, as deserting often breaks a man. Shallan doesn't prod him for further information. So what do you think about Bluth spotting these bandits following them?
Very perceptive person.
I mean, they're kind of used to it, considering what they have to go through every time, you know?
Yeah, because apparently, like, this is, like, a common thing that happens when you travel around this area, so if they've gone through here a few times, they're like, we know what to look out for. So then we go to Chapter 16, Swordmaster. We get the epigraph, Nimble form has a delicate touch, gave the gods this form to many. Though once defied by the gods they were crushed, this form craves precision and plenty. So from the listener song of Listing, 27th stanza. What spren do you think is needed for nimble form?
Patience, friend.
Windspren.
Darkness is assumed to be right, so we have not been 100% confirmed what spren this is, but most people assume it is wind spren that you need for nimble form.
Vroom vroom spren.
Vroom vroom spren. So we switch to Kaladin's point of view as he, Moash, Drehy, and 5 other Bridge 4 members enter the Light Eyes training grounds. Moash says that he thought it would be better than the Dark Eyes one, and Drehy says he thought it would be bigger. All Kaladin can think about is the fact that he'd spent the last 7 days dealing with the fact that Amaram and Dalinar are friends. Kaladin says the only thing that makes this place special to the Light Eyes is that the Dark Eyes can't come here. Some of the old Cobalt Guard was also with them, and Kaladin had been surprised that they had accepted his leadership without complaint. Some of the Dark-Eyed members had also started eating with them and adding Bridge 4 patches to their jackets. Kaladin had insisted they also kept their Cobalt Guard patches, though, and to wear them with pride. Kaladin felt the old Guard had deserved their reputation. So what do you think about how easily the Cobalt Guard accepted Kaladin and working with Bridge 4?
Who the f- is not accepting Kaladin at this point?
Right?
Adolin.
He's gonna accept him.
Sadius. Amaram.
Okay, that's different though.
A lot of the random light-eyed soldiers around the castle who were like,
No, they'll accept
how
him
did
soon,
you
don't worry.
survive?
Once they see him go disco ball, they'll change their mind.
Disco ball. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I think I missed what you said, Mythic.
No, I don't think you did. I didn't say anything.
Oh, I thought you had said something. What do you think about the Cobalt Guard?
Kobold guard?
Cobalt Guard. Cobalt isn't like the
kobold.
color.
Yeah, the kobold. Gotcha.
No, Cobalt
They're
as in the
I thought they were-
color.
I thought they were a cleric, not a guard.
No.
You gotta make sure they don't step on landmines.
Yeah, exactly. You know, small chicken-shaped ones.
So they make their way over to some Ardents, one of which seems upset that Kaladin is here and doesn't know about him being made captain. One of the other Ardents quickly whispers to them to get them to stop talking. Kaladin tells Drehy to head up to the roof to keep an eye on things from there, and one of the assistant Ardents follows Drehy to let him up the staircase. The one Ardent that had been upset asks what sort of danger Kaladin expects here, and he sarcastically replies that he doesn't know what could go wrong with all of these weapons and shard blades around. After Kaladin sends his men off to different areas to keep guard, he and Moash are the only ones left near the Ardents. Kaladin is surprised to hear the Ardent tell him that the king lends out his shard blades to allow Light Eyes to practice with them. The Ardent states that Elhokar has said that he may bestow his father's shard blade onto a man who proves himself worthy, and Kaladin calls it a useful lie to get the men to practice. Once the Ardent leaves, Moash points out that Kaladin had been disrespectful by not even using an honorific for the king, and basically called the light-eyed soldiers lazy. Kaladin is distracted but agrees that he was wrong, and thanks Moash for giving him the reminder. So what do you think about how disrespectful Kaladin was about Elhokar and the Light Eyes?
I don't think he really cares.
I don't think he does either. But he kind of called out Moash for it. He's like, we need to act better. And then he does, like, a similar thing.
I remember this mostly because I was kind of cheering them on, you know? Yeah, I was just like, you know, at this point you kind of earned this respect, and if they won't give it to you, you know, just don't give it back.
So Kaladin gives Moash some instructions on where to watch out for people coming and going, but before he goes, Moash asks Kaladin about Amaram, as he's seen how Kaladin watches him. Kaladin replies that he had been in Amaran's army, and Moash correctly guesses that he was the reason behind Kaladin's slave brands. Moash states that they'll get back at all of the Light Eyes that had wronged them. Moash then heads off to where Kaladin had told him to go, leaving Kaladin alone with Syl. Kaladin thinks that during the last high storm, more glyphs counting down had been written on Dalinar's walls. Dalinar hadn't seemed concerned, and Kaladin wondered if he was doing them in his fits, or if a spren was doing them somehow, as he was sure no one had gotten past him this time. Kaladin asks Syl if she is still seeing those weird spren around, but she confirms that she still sees the spren of red lightning, but it's hard to spot them. Syl then-
Spren.
Syl then brings up the friendship between Dalinar and Amram, and Kaladin replies that Dalinar is probably friends with lots of murderers because he's a Light Eyes. Kaladin also states that Amram is worse than Sadeas because he pretends to be honorable, while Sadeas is known to be a bad person. Syl says that Dalinar isn't like Amram, but Kaladin replies that people say the same things about both of them. So what do you think, first of all, about this writing on Dalinar's walls?
I mean, the writing that we've seen numerous times now.
Yeah, like what do you think? Like, do you agree with Kaladin that maybe? I mean, I think we've talked before about like maybe it's a sprint or something. Like, because Kaladin's like, I am sure now that no one's getting past me, so it has to be someone like already in the room, like Dalinar, or like a sprint. I think it's the storm sprint.
What if it's him?
You think it is Dalinar, like Kaladin thinks it might be?
Yeah. Do you think because he goes into those little trances, maybe he's putting shit on the walls? Yeah, that's possible.
The only thing that I would say about that is like, usually while he's in his fits, Navani is like recording what he's saying.
Maybe he's going into his fits when he doesn't even realize it.
Maybe, yeah.
Or maybe it's her.
It could be. I think Navani oftentimes is alone with him in the room when Dalinar's having his visions. We have those seen in part 1, Navani's epigraph saying she should have seen things coming. Like, so she seems kind of like she was like didn't know about everything that was gonna happen by the end of the book. Some thoughts. Kaladin is very confused. So Kaladin walks away to keep an eye on the training grounds, but Syl follows him and creates a little storm cloud beneath her feet. She asks if Kaladin really thinks Dalinar is like Amram and tells him not to lie to her. Kaladin admits that Dalinar is not like Amram. He says that Amram has Dalinar fooled, and he had fooled Kaladin once as well, so he couldn't really blame Dalinar. Syl says that Kaladin should talk to Dalinar about Amram, but Kaladin replies that it's unlikely that he'd be believed considering the difference in their social ranks. So, do you think Dalinar would listen to Kaladin about Amram?
Yes.
What was the question?
Do you think that Dalinar will listen to Kaladin about Amram? Like, do you think he'd believe him about his story about, like...
Oh, shit. I was thinking about this last night. And if he doesn't listen, this can go so bad in so many ways. With just Kaladin or the other dude himself.
Kaladin's gonna be super upset if Dalinar doesn't believe him. Like, that'd be fucked up.
Yeah, but even if he's not, and like Amram, we know what he's capable of, and we don't need another Sadeas here, you know?
I mean, he's technically under Sadeas' war camp, so I mean, apparently like minds stick together. Also, what do you think about Syl's insistence about trusting Dalinar?
What do I think about what?
Syl's insistence about trusting Dalinar.
She sees he's honorable, so...
Well, I don't trust her insistence about trusting him, so... Syl is kind of pissing me off recently. I don't know why.
Why, though? Everybody pisses you off, Darkness.
Darkness is either, like, a super into a character or, like, they annoy me.
Mm-hmm.
But Adolin and Renarin finally arrive, and Kaladin reports to them that the arena is monitored. Adolin notes that Kaladin calls him Bright Lord while he calls Dalinar Sir, and Kaladin replies that Dalinar is in his chain of command, but Adolin is not. He'll listen to reasonable requests of Adolin's, but he isn't Adolin's servant. Adolin steps closer to Kaladin and says the only reason he hasn't thrown Kaladin out a window is because he saved his life, but that he doesn't trust him as much as Dalinar does. He also states that something is off about Kaladin, and that he's keeping an eye on him. Kaladin says he'll keep Adolin alive because it's his job, but Adolin replies that he can watch himself and to just keep an eye on Renarin. What do you think about Adolin and Kaladin's little confrontation here?
Yeah. Makes sense, honestly. They shouldn't trust each other.
So, do you think Adolin is suspicious of Kaladin just because he doesn't trust him as a person, or do you think he's somehow, like, figuring out that something's different about Kaladin? Like, do you think he's, like, kind of getting a hint about Kaladin's powers?
I think it's both, to be honest.
It's very likely to be both.
Yeah, I feel like he's got a feeling that, Kaladin's not being truthful with everything, and then...
Also, is kind of pissed off about the whole, you ordered me around during the on the battlefield previously.
I mean, hey man, if you just did your job correctly, you wouldn't have to worry about it.
What do you think, Darkness? What do you think Adolin's seeing in Kaladin?
Love.
You ship them?
Totally.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, who don't I ship in this fucking...
That's very true.
Long and Yavani, Adolin and Kaladin.
So as Adolin walks away, Kaladin calls him a spoiled child. Although Adolin is a few years older than him, as he's in his early 20s, and Kaladin had passed his 20th birthday while he was a bridgeman. He then glances at Renarin, who is standing awkwardly nearby in Dalinar's unpainted Shardblade, which had been given to Renarin, as he no longer planned to go into battle. And he was holding the Shardblade that Adolin recently won for him. It would take 5 days before he could dismiss the blade. He then watches as Adolin brings Renarin over to the Ardents, and they bow to the Ardent Kaladin had been speaking to earlier, which Syl finds odd since Ardents are technically slaves. Syl then says that she doesn't like Adolin or Renarin, but Kaladin replies that's only because they both have shard blades. Kaladin then asks her about Radiance of the past using shard blades, but she replies that the blades weren't abominations back then. Kaladin asks what changed, and she replies that the Knights changed. Kaladin also tries to ask her where shard blades and shardplate came from, but she replies that she can't tell him. So what do you think about
Can't tell you.
What do you think about the fact that the Knights changing made the shard blades abominations?
Whatever they did made it made a bunch of problems for Spren.
What was that last part of the question?
What do you think? Why do you think that the Knights changing made the shard blades abominations? Because Syl says that shard blades are abominations, but they didn't used to be. She says that the only thing that changed was that the Knights changed.
Yeah, they went against whatever the orders or whatever the fuck it's called.
The Oath Pack?
Yeah, whatever
The-
it is, the oaths, whatever it is. Yeah.
The freaking codes that they follow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're oathbreakers. Remember?
Oathbreaker Paladins.
No, more like Oathbreaker Kaladin.
Oh my
I
gosh.
mean, Oathbreaker Kaladin would be a great oathbreaker. I'm not gonna lie.
So Kaladin,
Wait, how do we know how they age? People with those freaking surge binders or whatever.
we do not,
Are they
because Shard
aged?
Spiders haven't been around for a very long time.
Yeah, well, they have a accelerated healing or whatever, you know.
Oh, good.
We do not know if there's anything about that because Surge Binders have just started coming back in the last, apparently 6 years or something. So they don't know. So Kaladin glances around the room and notices a man standing in the shadows, which he thinks is odd. He walks over and notes the man's scruffy long hair and beard, and that he has ropes tied around his tan clothing. Kaladin thinks he stands out too much to be an assassin. As he gets closer, he scrapes his foot against the ground to make noise, and the man turns around suddenly, causing Kaladin to get a better grip on his spear. As Kaladin looks into the man's eyes, he feels like the man seems much older than his physical appearance shows. It looks like he thinks he could be 70, but also he could be 35. How strange.
Yeah, that's so weird.
It's very strange. Kaladin tries to speak disarmingly to the man, but the man sees through it and tells him he isn't going to hurt the princes. Kaladin notes that he has a strange accent that he doesn't recognize. Kaladin realizes the man was an Ardent, although usually they were bald. The man introduces himself as Zahel and says he was an ex-soldier. Zahel then explains to Kaladin that Renarin is trying to get a master and that he hasn't trained in the past because of health issues.
How do you spell that?
Zahel, Z-A-H-E-L.
Z-H-E-L.
A-H.
A-H-E-L.
Yes, Zahel. So yeah, what did you think about Zahel? He's got a very scruffy beard, ropes around his clothing. He kind of has this older gaze to his eyes than what his physical appearance would show. And he has a strange accent.
Give me a second. I'm trying to think. Trying to figure out who he could remind me of. Cause,
What do you think
I'm
about
gonna
him?
figure it out.
What are your thoughts? What do you think about
Trying to
Zahel?
figure this out.
Any thoughts about this guy? Just
I'm thinking.
general?
Thinking.
No, just what do you think about his personality? He's watching the princes from the shadows. Apparently, this weird Ardent.
That reminded me of. Okay, can you give me the description one more time?
So he's got scruffy hair, a scruffy long beard. He's wearing tan clothing with ropes around it. And he also, Kaladin feels like this man should be, much older than he appears. He also has a strange accent, but a strange accent just means, it's nothing he recognizes.
Wait, scraggly hair.
Yeah, he's got a scruffy appearance.
Is he Vasher?
Oh, maybe. Who knows? I wonder.
I feel like he's Vasher. He sounds a little like Vasher. The scraggly hair part is the one that I'm stuck on because I'm pretty sure Vasher had that weird. I'm trying to find a picture of Vasher.
Why
from
would
way back
Vasher
when.
be on Roshar? That
Because
wouldn't
everybody
make sense.
keeps coming to these fucking places.
That wouldn't make sense.
We met how many people already now?
That wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
He used to do that rope thing too, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's the only reason I was considering him too when I read it, but I didn't remember how he looked like. So.
I told you we don't see the Warbreaker people again. We're waiting on a second book. There's
No, it's totally Vasher. The way you're saying this in general makes me know it's a Vasher. Because you would have been like, I mean, I guess we'll find out, or some stupid shit like that.
I said that
now you're
already, too.
really being too defensive. You're just being really too defensive about it. Now. It's a Vasher. That's cool though. Not that I care. Vasher sucks. Bring me the god.
the god.
Mm-hmm.
Which god?
Kelsier. Yeah.
Kelsier.
Yeah, bring me Kelsier.
I thought
bring me
Warbreaker was
Kelsier.
your favorite book.
It is, but bring me Kelsier. Kelsier's a god. He'd be so much better for everybody here. Even though I feel like Vasher would be pretty decent, because I mean, he was pretty good with like
Asher was
shit.
returned.
So I feel like he'd be really good at like teaching them how to do shit. Wait, Vasher's the one
Vasher's
that
not.
taught what the fuck, right?
Hmm?
The one chick, the one princess woman.
Vivenna?
Yeah, that's her name.
But
Right,
Zale wasn't good with this, or not Zale. Vasher wasn't good with a sword. Why would he be? Why would he be working with the sword people here?
Vasher wasn't good with the sword.
Yeah, remember that the whole thing was Denth
Who
was
am I
like,
thinking of
"You
then?
fucking suck at sword fighting. That's why you couldn't have beaten my brother. You had to use some trick."
But he didn't actually suck at sword fighting.
He did technically use a trick to win though, because he did the whole like I'm putting all my breath into you, which like stunned the guy for a second, and then killed him.
But he still wasn't bad with
He
the
wasn't
sword.
he wasn't bad. He just wasn't as good as the others.
No, but I mean that's like saying, oh, you're not as good at fucking, I don't know, fucking, you're not as good at being a fucking streamer because these other people do it better. Like, come on, no, you're still a good fucking sword. He's still a good swordsman.
He just had a good sword. That's all.
No, Nightblood is not enough for him to be that good. He was good at sword fighting. Wait, do we? Oh yeah, if it's Vasher, we get to see Nightblood, right? Yeah.
I mean, Nightblood's not here. He doesn't got Nightblood with him, as far as we can see.
As far as we know yet, I mean, sure we'll get Nightblood. Come on.
You're gonna get Nightblood?
Nightblood's gotta come back. Yeah, why not? I mean, hey, he'll be his Shardblade, right?
So
I mean, I feel like that would be ridiculously funny if he pulled out Nightblood, if it's Vasher. He pulls out Nightblood, and they're like, oh, you have a Shardblade? And he's like, well, wait, but you didn't, like, it didn't get appeared out of mist. You just unsheathed it? You just have your Shardblade out all the time?
he just never dismisses it.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna dismiss your blade? No, it's on my back. It's gonna be here.
I don't. I can't dismiss it. If I do, then it might murder people somewhere.
It's much more fun to throw the blade at people and see what they do with it.
Oh my god.
Gotta destroy some evil. Yeah, no sign of Nightblood. If this is
Yeah.
Vasher.
If Nightblood is lost in here, I swear to God.
No, we had a whole book about him. Remember?
Yeah, the book is him getting lost in here.
So if this is Vasher, just so you know, this would be the events happen after Warbreaker. Warbreaker happens before Stormlight Archive.
Well, yeah, I would assume. The man looks like he's 70-something years old, of course.
But no, he looks like he's 35. Callum
No,
feels
he
like
looks like he's 70-something.
he looks like a
Well,
young
he's
man, but he has like
actually
the
only
eyes of an older man. Which, if it's
Exactly,
Vasher,
he
he's
looks.
definitely older than 70. If it's Vasher.
Vasher's a fucking immortal, so.
I mean, how's he sustaining himself though? Returns would need they need breath every day, or every week. That'd be weird that he'd be able to bleed.
Do you not remember me having this conversation about the fact that I thought that is a lie? Like, they
no, so
never proved
proved that was real. You do need it, but the thing that the returns weren't told is that you can basically keep a supply of breath, so that you can take more than one a week.
Yes,
and then when you're gone, you can just like use up your reserve.
But like they straight up stated that they had to eat like every week or some shit. So like I've been like, no, that's a fucking lie. All you do is have a shitload of breath, and then it goes down incrementally.
Yeah, but I'm saying you still need to use up one every single week, apparently.
Oh man, one when you have billions.
I mean, he didn't have that many at the end of Warbreaker. He used up a bunch of them.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he could get them back. When he murders the entire other continent of people.
Just murders all of the Pankal.
Yeah, whatever the fuck they're called. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, where did the one dude go?
That was the Pankal were the ones behind the whole war thing.
Yes, but where was but when we ended Warbreaker,
I believe they were going to where the Pankal are from. Or was it a different country?
Okay.
Or was it?
I thought it was a completely different country.
It might have been a completely different country. Actually, you might be right. Let me check the Coppermind.
Because you can do that, we can't.
Yeah. They want to make contact with Yestiel. It just says that he resided in one of the kingdoms north of the mountains. They did not. Oh yeah, they want. Yestiel was intent on reforging the kingdoms of Huth and Kuth, is what he wants to do. So he's in the northern mountains somewhere and wants to reforge a kingdom. We weren't told exactly where they were heading though, just that they were going to a kingdom.
So when he goes and murders the entire kingdom that this man creates, he has a billion breaths.
So Zale admits that it's suspicious that they waited until he got back to get Renarin a master, and Adolin calls out for Zale to join the others. Zale tells Kaladin he doesn't think he's brave enough to refuse if the princes request him to be Renarin's master before jogging over to the group. Kaladin asks Syl if she found Zale odd, She says everyone except Rock is odd. Kaladin replies that Syl shouldn't encourage Rock's reverence of her, that Syl insists that she's a tiny part of a god, and that Kaladin has permission to bow to her. Kaladin then notices Lopen and Shen coming in, and thinks that they will likely have reports for him from Teft. So what do you think about Syl being a tiny part of a god?
I was saying before, they're tiny shards.
They're
Like
pieces of
the
a shard.
Seon thingies or whatever.
Tiny shards.
Yep.
They're shards of shards.
Yeah, they're very similar to the Seons. I think Arcanum Unbounded also says that their Seons and Spren are kind of similar. The fact that they're parts of it, they're like formed from investiture and sentient. And then we finally get our final chapter, which is called Chapter 17, A Pattern. And this is when we have our picture of pattern that Shallan has drawn. So she's drawn a whole bunch of different like visuals of how his pattern changes while he's moving. She's got a bunch of notes and stuff. And apparently Nas recovered this from the bottom of the ocean, which is why it's kind of all blotchy and messed up. So what do you think about Nas? Why do you think Nas is so interested in Shallan's notes? Because he apparently followed her to where she's shipwrecked. He's stealing her stuff from the bottom of the ocean. He's keeping an eye on things around here.
Nas?
Nas is Chris's assistant, the one we met with Kelsier in Secret History, that had the knife, and he's from Threnody.
I don't know why I didn't put that together all of a sudden. Like, I was like, I feel like I've heard this name, but I don't remember where I heard it. Okay.
Yeah.
So the question is, why is he so interested in Shlong?
Shallan, yeah.
Obviously, yeah, Shlong, because obviously, I mean, they're researchers or whatever the fuck. So, of course, you'd be interested in this person that does some amazing shit.
Yeah, I guess if they're researching maybe like the investiture on Roshar, it's like the first time in like fucking thousands of years that there's Radiance again. They're like, oh, let me get some information about this. What did you think, Darkness, about getting more things from Naz?
Who are they affiliated with again?
The Silverlight University.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, it makes sense. I'm gonna just say that anything related to that place is them gathering information that they need
Yeah.
on
So,
each,
yeah, Chris
Yeah,
is like
but
the kind of.
So
main
wait, where's the
researcher.
Silverlight University located? Like what?
Don't know. I believe it's located in the cognitive realm somewhere. They said.
Oh, okay.
We don't know
I thought
which
it was a certain spot.
world it's near. We've just been told by Chris that it's in the cognitive realm, I believe. And then we get another epigraph about Dullform, which is Dullform dread with the mind most lost, the lowest and one not bright. To find this form one need banish the cost, it finds you and brings you to blight. From the Listener's Song of Listening, first stanza. So what do you think about the similarities and the differences between Dullform and Slaveform? Because as we've talked about, Dullform has a spren, just not a spren that either gives you another form or the wrong spren for the form you tried to make. Whereas Slaveform, there is absolutely no spren and you cannot hear the rhythms, apparently. Whereas Dullform, you can still hear the rhythms.
That's so. If you just give, I mean, that makes sense. If you just give like a freaking parchment, freaking spren before the storm comes, or whatever, changes their form.
We
How
don't know if a slave form can get out of slave form. Yasna
It probably
thinks
can.
they can.
All right. I already made the theory that what's this fuck's gonna do so I think they can.
That who is going to?
The one.
Chen.
Shen.
Yeah, that's it.
Mm.
Okay.
You think he's
He's
gonna
going
get
be
out of slave form?
something. Yeah, I think he's gonna be a war form. I think that's what he is.
Mm.
Or a storm. War or storm. One of those two. Honestly.
Shen is
I
the
just want
best
Shen to have
parchment. I
something.
love Shen. Must be protected at all costs.
No, he shouldn't. But it's all good.
So we switch back to Shallan's point of view, again, as she tries to not think about the fact that they don't know if the bandits are following them. She talks about a plant she had picked up while Bluth mostly ignores her. She notices that he's wearing a hat that seems much too stylish for him. She glances backwards briefly before going back to sketching in one of Yasna's journals that had mostly blank pages. The first sketch she had done had been redrawing the Santhid, which made her feel a little better even though it wasn't as good as her initial sketch of it. What do you think about Shallan trying to remake some of her old drawings?
Adam did say she would be drawing again, so.
Yeah, she seemed very attached to them, so
Mm-hmm.
Worked hard on that sketchbook. I think she'd had like her sketchbooks for like years and years. She'd been filling them. So Shallan then begins a sketch of Bluth, asking where he got the hat. He says that I can't speak. He says that he traded for it, but says nothing else.
That's no different than any other time.
She isn't happy with her initial sketch, so she decides to draw an idealized version of him that somehow feels right, and she shows it to him, and they stop for midday meal. Shallan then excitedly sees some knobweed and gets Bluth to go pick some for her. As Bluth does this,
Wasn't knobweed the shit that...
yeah, it's the stuff Kaladin was using back in when he was a bridgeman.
That's what I thought.
So as Blue does this, she notices Tvlakov looking south and realizes he has spotted a thin trail of smoke in the sky, which worries Shallan. Tvlakov says it doesn't seem much like the bandits care if they are seen, which may be a good thing, as they might think that their small group isn't worth much. He hopes that if they keep moving, they won't get attacked. However, Shallan could tell how nervous he was, and that he seemed anxious to begin moving again. As she waits for Tvlakov to finish his work, she wanders over to the Parshmen and tries to speak to them. She asks for their names, and one of the Parshmen points at themselves as 1, and the other as 2. She tries to ask about freedom and if they are happy with their lives, but the Parshmen just hunches over, almost seeming embarrassed for not understanding. Shallan feels guilty, but also thinks that they may soon become evil monsters set on destroying the world. What do you think about Shallan's conversation with the Parshmen?
Somebody's talking to him, like normal human beings.
Because they are human.
They're listeners. They're not human.
They
No,
are
they're human.
totally human.
They're not human.
Midnight,
They
we've
are
been over this.
All right. I'll woke it for you. They're humanoid.
They are humanoid. I've said that before, but they are not human.
No, they're human.
They specifically say that they are not humans. They talk about the humans
They are
separately.
human.
Shallan goes back.
Wait, who talks about them not being human?
Eshonai does. Eshonai went in her chapter. She's like, "Oh, the humans do this and that. They're not humans. They're listeners."
Yes, but that's like them stating that they're not human does not mean that they're not human.
They don't believe themselves
Just
to be
because,
human.
just because I can believe that I'm a turtle doesn't make me a turtle.
Oh,
I can believe I'm a parchman doesn't make me a parchman.
Of course, you are darkness.
Darkness. You are the absence of light. That is what you are. Turtle. You want to join the turtle club?
Shallan goes back over to the cart to sit down, noticing a bundle of knobweed that Bluth had gathered for her. As she begins to try to sketch some plants nearby, she notices another column of smoke ahead of them. Keg seems to see what Shallan notices and goes over to Tvlakov to speak, but Shallan calls out, asking to be part of the conversation. They discuss whether the group ahead could be another caravan of merchants or bandits, and go back and forth on whether it's best to stay near them for protection or stay away in hopes of the bandits going after them instead. Shallan brings up that even though they aren't a big group, the bandits are likely to come after them, and just for their carts to protect themselves during the upcoming high storm tonight. Shallan worries that the deserters will come after them as the easier target no matter what they do, so she states that they will make their way towards the second group. Tvlakov tries to protest, but then changes his words to try to tell Shallan they'll get to the Shattered Plains slower. However, Shallan insists that they go the way she decided. Blue soon returns to hand her the midday meal, and as they begin moving again, she begins drawing a ton of sketches. Some are of people like Yalb that she had met previously, and some are of herself as a more confident and noble woman. And she even draws one of Yasna that she feels the most proud of. She then asks for the wagons to stop for a moment so she can get in the back and to come get her once they are closer to the pillar of smoke. So what do you think about Shallan taking control of the conversation and making the decision on where to go?
I mean, somebody had to, I guess.
yeah, because Jasmine's not here.
No, because, she's totally dead now.
Mm-hmm. Because she passed away.
She got killed. She got
Ain't
stabbed
coming
through
back
the.
ever.
She got stabbed all the way through.
Doesn't
Shallan
mean you're
saw it.
dead. I mean, how many times I've seen shows where people get shot through and through?
Relatable.
So once she is settled in the back of the wagon and it's moving again, Shallan begins to check on her feet. She asks Pattern if he has anything to do with the sped-up healing, but Pattern replies that he doesn't know why people break and then unbreak. Shallan asks if Spren don't get wounded, and he replies that they break in different ways, but can't unbreak without aid. She then asks him about light weaving she did the night before, and says that they need to practice how to do it more consciously. However, she had lost the book that Yasna had given her that had information about the different Radiance. She notes that she'll need to see if she can buy another version of it once she gets to the Shattered Plains. Shallan then begins to talk about how Spren and the Radiance have a symbiotic relationship, like Shalebark and Kremlings. Pattern asks which he is, and Shallan replies that he can be either of them. She asks how she can get the Stormlight to work, and Pattern suggests eating one of the glowing spheres, but Shallan tells him that spheres are not one of the things that people eat. Pattern replies that eating is confusing to him, as is what they produce after eating and then hide. Shallan tells him they are not talking about that. So what do you think about the way Shallan is slowly learning about her powers?
I think she should have eaten it.
She should have eaten the whole spear.
Yes, because Pattern obviously told her to do it, so do it.
Pattern also doesn't understand eating.
Pattern understands more than he's letting on.
He is a scholar.
Yeah, so I think she should have eaten it because it probably would have done something. Or maybe she could have eaten it and then Pattern could meld with her or something. Like the what's the thing called in their heart?
The gem
Whatever
heart?
the fucking yeah, that's it. Yeah. Be like a gem heart, but inside her stomach. And then she'd poop it out and then she'd lose the power. And she'd go back to being a slave whatever.
Slave form?
Yep.
I thought all humans were in mate form.
They are. But I mean, if they can change out of mate, if Parshendi can change out of mate form, so can the humans. Well, actually, I don't know.
Actually, I
I
think
feel like
slave form
humans are
technically
in
could
all
also
forms.
mate because they're able
Yeah,
to
I
have
feel like
children.
I feel like all of them could mate, to be honest.
I
But
think they
they just
technically
don't know how
have the
to.
proper genitals
They
except
don't.
for
Yeah, no, they don't have the genitals, but
Yeah.
they just haven't figured it out yet. Okay,
slave form, dull form, and mate form. I think are the only ones that you can have children in.
exactly. But they, I mean, I'm sure that the other forms have cloacas. So
Oh gosh. Shalon then stares at the sphere, thinking that maybe she had breathed in
don't
the
laugh
light
too
before.
hard. I said don't laugh too hard.
She takes a sharp breath and instantly takes the stormlight from the sphere into herself. She quickly notices the stormlight leaking from her breath and skin, so she tries to light weave her dress into looking better, but she's unsure how to do this, and the stormlight eventually dissipates without being used. Shalon says maybe she should practice soul casting instead, but Pattern calls that dangerous. Shalon then goes to rub some of the knobweed sap on her feet and realizes the stormlight had been healing her. Shalon then asks Pattern what his buzzing means, and he replies that it means he is excited about learning new things. Shalon is surprised to learn that Pattern is a scholar. He replies that he has come to learn before something, but he stops midway through speaking, tries to say it was nothing, but he is terrible at lying as his voice goes completely flat and emotionless. Shalon is surprised that he's bad at lying, considering how much he likes lying, and Pattern just replies that humans are fascinating. What do you think about the fact that Pattern is a scholar and also bad at lying?
I mean, isn't he a lying spread?
He's apparently a lie spren. That's what
Yeah,
they
so
call it.
yeah.
But he's bad at
He's
it.
gonna he's gonna be something completely different. But gonna be a
A true spring.
But I mean,
No.
technically, a sprint, being that type of sprinter, I guess doesn't mean you're good at it. It's what you're attracted to. And he says that lying is like fascinating because it's like an aspect of humans. So it would make sense that the cryptids are like, if they're scholars, that they'd be fascinated by lies. If like that's what like they think is different and unique about humans. So they would be attracted to lies, even if they're bad at lying.
maybe that's why they're bad at lying because they're attracted to it too much.
They're like, we don't understand this thing, so we like to go to people who do the thing, but we can't do it because
Yeah,
we don't understand it.
I mean those who can't do teach. So it's a
thing.
it's a saying. It's a saying. Those
A
who
super
can't
saying?
like so it's basically like the reason there are coaches is because they can't do the sport that they're coaching, but they know how to play it. They just aren't good at doing so.
I see.
Yeah. So
Anyways, did you have any thoughts about
what
Pattern being a
if
scholar?
wait?
Oh,
So
sorry.
I had this idea. Okay, because we got onto the thing about him not being a Lyspren, but maybe a something else. And I was thinking he really likes like all of the things that she's technically lying about, but also that she's keeping secret,
Mhm.
like from everybody else. So what if he is something like a secret or a stealth spren or whatever, a secret
spren.
Yeah, like something he likes the secrets. He likes what they're trying to keep, which can often look like lies. So
Yeah, because he kind of considers like a lot of different things lying. Because he's like, oh, if you're like hiding things, that's also lying.
yeah.
Like
So
lying by
what if
omission.
what if he's like a spren for secrets or something?
Secret
A
spren.
secret spren. I
I
mean,
mean, we thought
it
Syl
would
was
make
a wind
sense.
spren.
Yeah, and then she was whatever
Honor spren.
honor spren. Yeah. So what if he's something different as well? I still want to know what the ink. I want to see the
Ink
ink
spren?
spren. I want to see what they like. I want them to like just be like, "Hey, hi, Slong, I'm right here." Would be so cool. Also, want to see
Ink
them,
spren.
like be compatible with a bunch of different sprens.
You think there's a pride spren and it's rainbow?
Yes, yes, we're making that canon right now.
They just form little rainbows in the air.
Yay. Rainbow spren, yay!
Like little rainbow glitter or something. It just rains down on you.
Why's it gotta be glitter?
I don't know.
Right.
Are you saying glitter is gay?
No, I just like
That's
glitter. Glitter's
crazy.
fun. It's fun.
Okay. Midnight.
Hey.
Hey, Darkness Midnight said glitter's fun, so we gotta send her a glitter bomb now.
Oh my gosh, don't.
Oh, that would be so much fun, actually.
Oh,
Oh,
I haven't played
Nope.
a prank in a while.
well, we should totally send her a glitter bomb.
please don't.
Yeah,
but-
Shalon prods Pattern.
What's your peel box?
Shalon prods Pattern to continue what he was going to say before, and he replies that he wants to learn as much as he can before she kills him. Shalon is shocked
Yep.
that he thinks she's going to kill him, and he replies that it happened to the others, and thus it will happen to him, as it is a pattern. He says that the Knights Radiant killed their spren, and Shalon asks how and why, but Pattern says all he knows is that it had to do with their oaths. What do you think about the fact that Pattern thinks that Shalon will kill him?
I mean, that's pretty valid. They've done it before.
Exactly. Maybe that's what the whatevers did to them, and that's why they're
I mean, Yasna said that Ivory had like given her hints that like something that Radiance had done something terrible to their spren, that he doesn't like to talk about it.
Yeah, so maybe they killed them. Yeah, they killed them.
I want to say it's whatever term to.
Oh, go on. I'll say it in a minute.
You know how they were talking about how the spren were acting weird and all this shit in that one flashback? I'm gonna say it's related to that, and that they had to kill the people that not the people, but the spren had turned.
Well, okay, so what the Parshendi do, where they like go into the shit or whatever with, isn't it? Wait, how do they get into the forms?
They go into a high storm and they're supposed to like sing and like draw a specific type of spren to them depending on the form they want.
Okay, so what if that is like basically it kills the spren or whatever, and then that's what their whatever the fuck Pattern is worried about that they're gonna do. She's gonna meld with him, and then obviously Pattern dies.
Interesting.
Or that's what they think is death.
Well, Pattern says that spren break differently than humans do.
Now I just want to dissect a spren. Just start ripping spren's limbs off and shit.
That's what I said like a while ago.
Yeah, they break different,
So Shallan states that she won't kill Pattern, and that Yasna has said she wasn't really one of the Knights Radiant. However, Pattern says that she spoke oaths, but that without speaking truth, she won't continue to grow. Shallan finishes bandaging her feet and calls to be let back out of the wagon as it stops. As she gets out, she notices that the smoke column is too big and dark to be from a cook fire, and Bluth agrees that it's something bigger burning, such as a carriage. Something didn't go well for the people ahead. And that is our last chapter. We have a few overview questions. I'm going to skip the first one because I was like, did you notice the World Hopper? But you guys did. You guys did notice the World Hopper.
We did?
You kind of like...
The strange accent. I didn't say if you got the person right who it is, but you noticed who the World Hopper was.
We got it right. The way she's talking, Darkness, we got it right. Well, I got it right.
It's kind of obvious.
Didn't you promise Mythic?
Yeah, you promised to tell us.
To tell him?
No, you did. Last time you were like, I'm
going
to tell you anyways.
Tell you who the World Hopper is, not like their name. Sale is the World Hopper. You were right. Also, do you think Adolin will be able to continue to win duels?
Darkness.
I don't know. Do you?
I think what we need to do, Darkness, is we need to boycott this whole podcast from now on. I mean, obviously,
gonna ask questions too
obviously, we're supposed to do it on Sundays, but apparently we can't do that anymore. So we should just boycott this whole thing because Midnight wants to be too vague about things and not give us answers when we're
I told you, Zale's the World Hopper.
Yeah, but then I said who it is, and you're like, no,
maybe
not that person.
That voice is so accurate, by the way.
It's not. What the fuck?
That's super accurate.
Not accurate at all.
Oh man, you should replace Midnight.
I should.
We should do our own podcast.
Probably could. Yeah, we could do our own podcast, Darkness. All right, next Sunday, our own podcast.
Oh, do you think Adolin will be able to continue to win duels?
Yes, until he gets to what's his nuts, and then he's gonna lose.
I
don't remember what the guy who betrayed everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get to him, and then he's gonna do the whole thing where I was talking about of like, I put my sword through your body without it being, what was it, mist form.
That's hot.
And then he dies, and then
What do you think, Darkness?
And then Kaladin saves him. I don't know how, but he does. Gives him a kiss of life.
Oh my gosh.
And then they life together.
Also, when is the book that we get where we get an LGBT?
You've already met the character, they just have not confirmed it yet. I believe it's either in this book or really early in the next book that they confirm that the character.
Who is it?
It's one of the Bridgemen. One of the Bridgemen starts dating a guy. I'm not telling you who
yet.
Okay. But yeah, one of the Bridgemen, because I don't want to confirm who does or doesn't potentially die, but one of the Bridgemen, now that they're like free, eventually they start like actually having more of like proper lives, and they start like looking to date, and one of them starts dating a man.
I swear,
now we gotta figure out
it is.
Who's all the Bridgemen.
So we've got Teft, Moash, Drahi, Hobber, Shen, Lopen, and we have a bunch that I
Who's the guy who's always so like into Kaladin though?
The one that's always hanging out with him? I mean, there's a few. Like... There's Rock, Teft, and Moash hang out with him the most. Lopen's the one with one arm. They talk about how Drahi was here with them. Drahi's kind of just like hangs out a lot. There is what's his name? Another L name that why am I blanking on this other guy's name? Leighton. There's Leighton.
Lathander. Oh.
No,
Lathander.
Leighton is the one who was good with armor. There's Hobber. There's I believe Dabbid is the one who's battle shocked. He helps out Lopin and Rock. There's quite a few bridgemen.
It's got to be Lopin because he's loping with people.
Lopin talks about women a lot though.
Well, I mean,
You can be in denial.
Maybe it's a front. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, maybe, or maybe he's bi or something.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean that is in the LGB.
By himself.
That's so rude. Poor Lopin.
Oh,
Yeah, Lopin's the one who's always like, Kaladin, you need to teach me how to do these powers, because the women will flaunt to me and be like, Lopin, you glow, now kiss me. That's what Lopin wants.
Fortunately, it's not what Lopin is getting, but
I know he's gonna get guys instead. Ha ha.
Yeah, one of the current bridgemen that we know is gay,
cool.
and they just haven't, because they've only been free for a certain amount of time. They haven't really started considering like their lives outside of that yet. So once they kind of start to like consider their lives outside more, is when they start to like get in relationships and you get to know more about them. Yes.
Gotcha.
Also, do you think Adolin and Kaladin will eventually get along, or do you think they're going to continue to hate each other?
they're going to become lovers.
The bridgeman I was talking about was actually Kaladin.
All along, yeah. Wait, what was the guy you said that was like chilling out with them all the time? You're just like chills.
I think I was saying Dabbid, the one who's battle shocked.
Oh, okay.
Like he kind of just like is there. He doesn't talk currently.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Maybe because he's silent. He's in the closet. But
Interesting.
Maybe he gets healed from his battle shock eventually.
Yeah, and then he goes out with one of the other bridgemen.
Interesting times too.
Also, do you think Shalon's group is going to get attacked by bandits before getting to the Shattered Plains?
No.
Yes. She's not getting there smoothly. We know that. She's had a pretty easy ride so far, right?
Yeah,
right.
she's had a great time. Super chill. All right, so for next week, we will be reading chapter 18 to 23. So our chapters forward to that. And yeah, did you have any more theories you want to talk about before we end?
I could go on for a very long time if you'd like.
So about the astral plane. No, I'm just
Oh gosh.
No, seriously, I could go on for a very long time, but
This has been a longer than average podcast already.
I know.
Has it actually?
Yeah, it's
That's
usually we're
okay.
between an hour and a half to 2 hours, and it's been 2 hours and 12 minutes. So thank you guys all so much for
All
listening.
my theories.
Well, we can talk more about your theories next week.
Yeah, and we'll make that one a long podcast too. Woohoo!
So yeah, thank you guys all so much for listening. We really appreciate you, and we'll hope to have you come by again next week. Bye!
Bye.